All right. Welcome.
Another Thursdays at 2.
Thursdays at 2. Yes, my it's really my favorite part of the week here, and I get to see you, and we get to learn about uh, all this great stuff about this movement as we move towards the end of summer here. Uh, let's see. You had some summer adventures, right? This week, you were doing some celebrating. How was that?
Yeah, I got older. I went to Orange County Fair, my favorite fair, and
It's famous, right?
it's a really good one. And I like it better than LA's fair. And real big, good, lots of cool stuff to purchase, like if you to shop for. And then I love going crazy with the food, and I like to try stuff that I've never tried. That's my favorite. Um, it
Yeah.
doesn't. It didn't work out this time because I got fried frog legs, and I didn't know what to expect. I don't remember eating frog, but so whatever. But people always say everything tastes like chicken, and I love to try stuff, so I'm like, let's go. But it skeeved me out because it was so big. First of all,
Yeah.
this frog would have beat my cat up. It was so big, and it was a little stringy, and it just I don't know what happened. But and I'm normally not that way, but I got skeeved out and was like, didn't go well.
Wow. Yeah, yeah, that hasn't been my experience with frogs legs. My first one was catching them and cooking them the same night. Just learning how to hunt them down, and I guess maybe smaller frogs. We were catching smaller frogs than that would have legs that large, and what I remember is that there's like a kind of sweetness to it. I guess it's also how it's prepared, but yeah, well, that's what you get trying new things. I guess you're going to find the line. You're going to.
Sometimes it doesn't go well, but most of the time I'm a fan. Like I remember I didn't like the fried pickles. That was a no go. But I do love the bacon dipped, hot bacon dipped in the chocolate.
Yep.
Oh boy, that's a winner.
Yeah.
That is a winner.
Well, this is an art in Scotland, and maybe one of our guests will be able to get into this, like how many things are fried, for late night snacks and otherwise, all sorts. And I mean, you're going to want to try, I think, a fair amount of them because they are delectable, although perhaps deadly.
And then after a long day of riding rides and drinking, and I was really surprised. I was able to ride a bunch of rides that I thought might have killed me, but it was a lot of fun. And
right on. The rides working. Sometimes they don't with a belly full of fair food.
Yeah, and you always have too much beer in your gut, and I'm like, I don't know about all this, but it went really well, and then grabbed another 24 ounce and saw Alice Cooper, and that's probably my 15th time, 10th time. I don't know what seeing him. I see him all the time. Love him.
The better show, so I hear. I haven't made it yet, but and your view looked great. It was a great the show.
I actually have the drum solo recorded. I was going to throw up as selfless approved. Because I'm quite certain you'd approve it.
I don't know who's playing with him right now, but the past few guys have been phenomenal. His bands are usually tip top because a lot of people want to play with the guys.
What I thought was really interesting, like because my mind doesn't even work. Like when you grow up and you have like your metal favorites and you got your classic rock favorites, and then you got your hip hop or your whatever, right? So, but they're really separated, and but in the real world, it doesn't seem to go that way because, here 35 years later, I see like on Alice's, not his last album, the one right before the last one, the drums were done by U2's drummer.
Yeah, right.
And I'm thinking, how interesting is that? That they met up, when Alice came to Dublin, he wanted to see the show, and then they got to talking. And I guess it's really easy to plan stuff when you're both jillionaires and money has nothing to do with anything.
Sure.
So, like, I'm sure he got the minimum ass cap, whatever he had to get, but he probably donated it to the dog's shelter or whatever. and just played drums.
Yeah, and took scale or whatever, right?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Like what he had to. And then but it was like whenever Alice was gonna record, he was obviously fine with it. And then he came in, crushed it, and went home. But I never would have thought that would have happened.
Yeah, well, a lot of these players, especially God, what's his name? With the guy from U2.
The drummer?
Yeah, but a lot of these guys try to branch out into other kinds of session work. They've got their band and that's safe, but if they're really interested in the music side of it, they'll keep branching out. Mullen, right? I think is
right.
His name. Yeah,
that's the bass player.
Oh, it is the bass player?
I'm pretty sure. Oh, no. That is Larry Mullen.
Larry Mullen.
Jr.
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I think you might be right on that. I went to Dublin and saw them, and I can't remember his name.
Lord.
But
you saw them in there, on their home ground.
That was really amazing. I was watching the show. We were partying before the show at the Rose Bowl, and we saw 2 nights in a row there. So it was just a super party.
Sure.
And then we were all tore up, about to go into the second night, and we said, wouldn't that be cool to see them at Croke Park, in Dublin? And wouldn't that be amazing? So that drunk talk, nonsense, stone drunk talk just usually goes nowhere. But for some reason, it hooked us.
Right.
And then we went, and then when we came back, like the next week, we saw them in San Diego with Beck opening, and that that was phenomenal. but I just think it's really amazing. Like some of these. I'm sure like on the Let's Dance album. Oh,
right.
David Bowie called up that awesomest guitar player ever for the Let's Dance song.
Right.
I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Stevie Ray Vaughan. I think it's who plays guitar on the Let's Dance track.
Oh, right. I thought that was just Niles himself, the guy that produced it. Le Chic, who produced those 2 records with David Bowie. Yeah, those chords.
But it's the same kind of stories you've heard, like where, like what's that guy? The guy who sings Operator, Jim Croce, right? Like he had a place in San Diego that's now a restaurant, but they own the building, and it used to be in the worst part of town, which is now a really nice part of town, and no one knew about it. So whenever anyone would come to San Diego, whether it's Zeppelin or whoever, they would all go crash that place because it was just no one would ever know they were there. Yeah. And they could just play as loud as they want all night long, rip it up.
Yeah. And not be bothered by crazy fans.
But you would hear stories like John Denver and Jimmy Page, and you're like, what the fuck?
Wow.
But anyone who's there, and it makes sense. John Denver can't just listen to his own shit. He was probably, a huge Zeppelin fan for all we know.
And as I've heard from people who knew him and family members, met him or had dinner with him, and he is what he looks like from all reports. He is, in fact, that nice and maybe nicer.
Wow.
And what I've found is, a lot of these guys just want to play. Their fans or their publicists will kind of do the more fashion thing. They'll try to brand the band. The musicians are kind of more interested in music. And a lot of the really good ones have to be dragged into the branding. and convince this is the freaking way you've got to do it. And this is the single, and this is what we're going to push. Even if they don't like the song, like what happened to Warrant with Cherry Pie.
Right.
They didn't like the song, and that guy was always haunted by him only being known for that song.
You know, to go right on that line of thinking, I was at a party in Hidden Hills with the guitar player Warrant that he threw at a house he was renting. Of course, they couldn't afford it.
Right.
But and it was on the Dog Eat Dog album, came after Cherry Pie, and it had just been recorded, but no one had heard it. And so he played it for us, just a few tracks. And though I liked it and it was actually really good, it was so not Warrant, right? Like, you know, it'd be like if Poison came out with a Neil Young opus. I mean, it might be good, but who the hell wants that? Right?
Well, they all tried to make the change in the 90s. The change in the market, like, I mean, not just rockers, but hip hop as well. Like, MC Hammer, after his failed second record, tried to like look real hard with this third Hammer. Like,
too late, bro.
With the gangster rap. Yeah, Too Legit to Quit was record 2. That didn't work. They got James Brown out of jail to do that track. Yeah, everybody tried to make that awkward transition. You know, even the crew, everybody, and it didn't go so great.
You know, the only ones who survived it, this trips me out about the 90s, because what you just said is everybody hit the wall except Van Halen.
Yeah.
Had no problems. They cruised right through the 90s with nothing but #1 albums, didn't mean a damn thing. AC/DC didn't get any kind of heat or back nothing.
You know, just a freight train selling out stadiums all over the world. You couldn't.
And Metallica had no problems. You know, they were already so damn huge, it just didn't matter anymore.
Rush, no problem. Well, Metallica also, they got huge before they had any radio support. MTV wouldn't play their stuff for albums and albums, and they were selling out stadiums without any of that. So once they got it, which was, the Black Album, they were always going to be an institution from that point on, like a mogul, which the rest of the metal world would have to get around to get their money. Basically, they were one of the hottest tickets out there, Van Halen, all these things. And basically, you get your audience to a point like that, and then you can kind of do more what you want to do. It's the Beatles formula. You do the I Want to Hold Your Hand records until you got your albums. You got your audience that's immovable, and then you can do your Rubber Soul and your Revolver all the way up to How Crazy Abbey Road got. And I think Radiohead did exactly the same thing. They did 2 records of hits, and then they're like, now we can do whatever the heck we want. And they got more and more and more experimental, and they're still experimental.
I really miss bands that were huge just playing multiple nights. Like, I got to see Maiden play 2 out of 4 nights on the Live After Death record, at Long Beach Arena, and that's one of the greatest shows I've ever been to. But it was so fun. And like Metallica did 4 nights at the Forum for the Black Album. I went to 3 of those, and it was just it made a club out of the Forum, and it was such an amazing vibe. The police were like, fuck it, because everyone's got a joint and 2 beers. I mean, you just whatever, Gonna arrest 20,000 people? No, probably not. So but then now it's the stadiums, and I'm not a fan of the stadium show 1/10 as much as the arena show for the sound and for everything else. Like even Motley Crue during Dr. Feelgood, they took the lights, they put the light green lights on the parking lot, so it was the color of the album.
Exactly. Great.
It's just sick, and like they would spend that extra money to make that arena show really special.
Also, all of the money was online. Like your records, like the return on your records, like everybody down the line, all of those people that were involved in the records that don't exist anymore, all getting paid the most anybody was getting paid. So it was worth it. and it looked like it. And that's the way all of that felt. And now, like, a bunch of the people in between on production, that's, labor-saving devices and computers, and a bunch of musicians have been replaced by sample libraries, and you don't need as many engineers or assistant engineers for the mix. It's so automated, and on and on and on. And the artists at this point, the return on records, like, you shouldn't even plan to make any money off of your records. You could make money off of your live gigs. I think that's what it's become since like the year 2000.
Yeah. It's even though things are 4 times, like, even if you make everything 4 times more expensive, I was looking at a bunch of tickets I have from Van Halen to you name it that are $17. I paid $21 to see Dio, like, 5th row at the Last in Line tour. Almost ripped my brains out of my head. And just incredible shows.
Guys,
so even if you said it was $80 now, that's still a bargain, and I just get sick of this $100 to park, $24 for a Modelo. It takes the fun out. $75 for a shirt. Now I find myself just not buying any of that crap. And it's not as fun. Like, it's not even a matter of can you afford it. It's like saying, well, would you like to pay $300 for a cheeseburger? Like, not really.
Yeah. And also, like, you all file in, you all file out. In stadium gigs, like, where's the vibe? Nowhere's Phil. Security up to 9. So it's not really a party. It's a very sanitized version of those experiences. I mean, stadium shows used to be more wild. Not so much anymore, that they're all owned by banks and not individuals.
The last crazy, it's amazing you say that. That's so true, because the last time I saw a stadium show that wasn't homogenized as hell, and I've been to 1,000 of them, was the Monsters of Rock tour that Van Halen headlined.
Wow.
And Scorpions were underneath them. And then it was Dokken, Metallica, and Kingdom Come. And
crazy.
I'll tell you something, and I've heard this from a lot of bands. Like, there's certain bands you don't want to go on after or before.
No.
Okay? Because they're just too awesome. Like, Metallica, Dokken went on after Metallica because they were a much larger band at that time.
Right.
Okay, they had a bunch of hits, already had a headlining stadium, headlining arena tour under their belt. And, George Lynch was a monster, right? But Metallica destroyed the place.
Yes.
People were throwing their chairs, the fences went over, the whole place went upside down. And then here comes Dokken. It's like, dude, they need a Slayer to come on next.
The hardest thing that was palatable, the thrash metal thing, that they were the best at it. I mean, you can like the others for flavor, but as far as being able to reach a wide audience immediately with that style of music is Metallica. And as Dave Mustaine made the next runner up and was Metallica, was a lot of their sound for the first record, and they used like multiples of his songs on other records. I think he's included.
I think Megadeth is actually musically the best I've ever heard, but it's unfair because Metallica was for, drunk kids, working it out, getting it going.
To be the like jazz of thrash metal. Dave,
but Dave was able to go get absolute contract killers to join the band. Totally. And that's not fair. Like, in other words, how people get, like, let's say my buddy's a decent drummer and, we can't pay him anything. We give him a tall boy, and that's it. And then we meet Selfless, right? And then you like our music. Well, he gets fucked because now you got the job, right? But that's natural and normal, and that's how these things work. But then when you got a little bit of money and you've got some clout and you got backing, you can go get the monsters.
Yep.
So Megadeth did not have one day, where it wasn't just absolute steroid fire sonically.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
And one of those guys is still there. Yeah.
That's one of my favorite, absolute favorite acts. Incredible, the power, and the way he writes it. The stuff was so clever and so complicated. It was almost like if Dream Theater just went thrash or something, you know,
Yep.
like.
And he's trying to own a space where he knows Metallica can't go. And pretty much. Yeah, and really being kind of a jerk about it wonderfully. I think that's what we all like Dave for. Well, yeah. So, like, man, so you had this really good gig experience, and this was celebrating your birthday, right?
Yeah, that was super fun. Really enjoyed it. I can't believe the support I got from our community was just incredible. I mean, 1,000 times more than I could have imagined. So I was super stoked and really fun, and can't thank everybody enough. That was an amazing few days there. You know,
this community is very generous and full of a whole lot of great intention and heart.
That's for sure.
Absolutely. I found that over and over again. Yeah. You know, I think during that time, right, I was in Los Angeles and played this kickoff gig of the Lore FM tour, and it was great to see all the people that came out, and saw Dodge Landsman for the first time in a little bit. My first day.
I want to see him drunk.
Yeah, he's really fun. He was dancing up a storm. He's really life of the party, Dodge. Not surprising. He's very charming. He's got a lot of information. He's doing great work for the community with his reporting. But yeah, I had my first days protesting in Chicago with Dodge. Not only is he all of those things, but he's pretty ding darn physically brave on the street on one of the most dangerous days that we've seen protesting, when the cops were completely against us and out in force, ready for violence.
And he's got a horse tie, which is bitch.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was a great show. I think, we did well, good energy on stage. Tim and Eric did great. It was great to see them again. Tori Magoo showed up. That was
nice.
Really good to see Tori. It was great to see, all the folk. I know I'm going to forget everybody, but yeah, my brain's a bit on fire. So my other news is that right before I left, I was served with a temporary restraining order that's connected to my protest work for against Scientology, and that's a bit, it's a bit. I can't say much more other than I have an appearance date next week to defend myself, and we'll see what happens.
You have to go to LA next week?
No. This is in Austin for my protest work here in Austin.
Okay. I was going to freak out. I'm like, how does that work?
No, I'm going to have to. I'm having to appear here, and on advice of counsel, I've been, I got to say much more, and so I've been pretty freaked out. Tried to do the submissions myself, and then ran into a bunch of questions that I knew that I couldn't answer, and so I tried to do something more responsible and get myself some representation.
Okay.
And
I'm sorry to hear that. What a bummer.
Yeah. I'm going to be trying to get together the funds for this lawyer. It's not all that much over this week, but it's gonna be needed.
Another bill, yeah.
It's not it's a serious enough thing that I don't think I can responsibly represent myself.
I'm glad to hear that, though, because a lot of people that are smart like you actually would make a mistake right then and say, you know what, I'm pretty smart, let me do this. I think it's great to spend a couple bucks and at least run it by somebody. You know what I mean? Hey, what do you think about this?
Yeah, and at the very least, and I received what I perceived to be the correct noises about this, and so yeah, I'm going to be doing some effort to scratch together something for this defense. As I don't know, it could be extensive. What we've seen previously in the other TRO affairs is delaying tactics and things that would extend the proceedings and expand the expense to somebody defending themselves from this. And so it was a sleepless night.
Wow.
Pretty much. And I think I'm on a better footing today and looking to push this forward and to clear my name.
Well, good. I mean, that sucks that even happened. But I mean, just out of curiosity, since you're going to move to LA, would it matter, like in the big scope of things, if you could never protest there?
Yeah, I mean, it would to me that.
I mean, besides the fact that you're not guilty, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, like let's say you just said, you know what, I'm leaving, kiss my ass.
Yeah, it still would. I mean, on principle, for my name,
Okay.
It doesn't matter where my movement anywhere is restricted legally. I think is a very serious matter for.
Oh no, I agree. I'm just wondering if you had that frame of mind where you're like, you know what, I'm never coming back here.
I mean, if I was truly looking to not engage with this issue, I guess, but I don't think for a moment that crossed my mind.
Okay,
yeah,
I wouldn't think so. I was just wondering.
Yeah,
well, we better. After saying I was going to do a good job, I did the worst ever, and we're at 27. We need to get our A-listers in here.
No, we talked about rock and roll for quite some time, and we could have just done that for the length.
I'm so bad at this, dude.
I would have.
Oh, that's too funny. I could literally talk to you for 3 hours like we have before, so I wouldn't even, shit. Okay. Sorry about that, guess.
Yeah, so our first guest here is the wonderful, wild, and feral Cheryl, bringing you up to the stage. Hello.
Hello, everyone. Hello, gentlemen. How are you? Selfless. I'm so sorry about that. That is so messed up.
Yeah, it is what it is, and we're just going to have to refute the claims and see what happens. More to come as things advance, and I get any instruction that I can or should say anything further. So
right. No, well, the community's behind you, so whatever, we'll be here to help you through.
Well, thank you very much. I've always depended on the kindness of strangers.
Right, and you should.
The quote that's from A Streetcar Named Desire. That's what Blanche famously says. I've always on the kindness of strangers. Yeah, as
wait. So what does Vivian Lee say in "I'll never go hungry no more"? Okay, yeah, that's a whole different thing. Never mind.
Yeah, right. We firmly into the past there, but. Yeah,
and Eric, you went to my favorite place on earth, the Orange County Fair. I miss it so much.
Did
my house
backstage when you said it? She was like,
Orange County Fair. That's where I used to fly like Tinkerbell every year. My mom broke her ribs on one of the rides there. I mean, yeah, I've spent many a hour watching really bad bands and eating funnel cakes and riding around, flying in through the air and buying lots of crap for my house. My house was full of OC Fair crap. I miss it so much.
I just had a brand new sandwich over there. I could only eat a couple of bites because, again, it was just way too much. But the 2 bites were fantastic. It was, and the messiest thing I've ever seen. But it was two funnel cakes with a hot pepper chicken honey thing, whatever, in the middle of two funnel cakes.
Right. And what do? You go order the friggin' frog. You have
I only had one bite.
There's this most amazing fried chicken waffle sandwich from hell, or how about some bulky frog? Would you like some bulky frog legs?
I will try it all. I will try it all. You know, I tried the fried, not this trip, but the last one I tried the fried Twinkie. That was no good.
Right, now,
the fried Oreo.
In Scotland, they be frying everything too. In Scotland, you know what they do to pizza? They dip it in batter and deep fry it. You get deep fried pizza.
How come they don't have that at the OC Fair?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's mental. They've got all that other fried crap. They had, okay, this one I couldn't get over. Fried butter. They had a stick of butter.
They had that. I was not, I am not, I don't have the guts for that one. I got to bail. Can't do it. And the funny
thing was, my friend and I were waiting in line to get in to go see Bad Company. And right there was the fried everything booth. And there was a lady passed out in front and the EMTs had to come rescue her. And it was like, is she eating the butter? That's probably why she's on the floor. Yeah. She shouldn't be eating all that fried food, anyone? It's like advertising for itself. Yeah, but frogs legs.
They could fry your flip-flop and it would probably be good, but there's a couple things I'm not going to go with in that fried butter. I'm like, no.
Just a stick of butter. They batter it and deep fry it. Like, who is eating that? Lord in heaven. But, I miss that place.
It is a fun place. I really love it there. So when are you moving back here? That's my question, because we need to hang out like 3 times a week, and it's going to be really difficult and expensive if you stay in Florida.
Yeah,
I know, bro. So we need to get the price of this apartment up. I got to put new floors in and stuff, and let's hope things balance out a bit that I can sell up and I eventually move back west. Because, yeah, Florida, it's a particular kind of place, and I like the green too much. You can't grow it here; it's all moldy weed. Yeah. I need to go back home. I need to go back home where it's dry and you smell eucalyptus. And the OC Fair.
Well, I just loved walking around Blue with you. That was so much fun. And you're like, you have an amazing energy, and I love your courage. And you have this vivaciousness where it's not anywhere near overbearing. It's actually really fun and inclusive, which is weird.
Yes. Although, yes, it does get on in a very good way.
Yeah. And you're funny as hell. And I mean, I just love how you socked it to everybody. And I love how you were also, triggered like me. And so it makes me feel like I'm not the only crazy person, which is nice.
Right. Well, that's why I wanted to meet you, because every time I hear you speak, it's like, oh, he's the male version of me on this planet, in this dimension. Okay. So it's like, okay, I got to meet Eric. So of all people, I didn't get to meet Streets and Confident Chris, but I'm so grateful. Thank you, Eric, for wasting your day running around with me and my crazy cult water crew. I really do appreciate that. Thank you, Eric. It was wonderful. I wanted to meet you so bad and I started crying because you're the one human that totally really understands me. You say things that no one else has said that I feel about Scientology and growing up and just the whole bullshit, the trauma that it brings. And so, yeah, I'm just so grateful that I found, my twin on this planet. I really appreciate you. Thank you.
I can't tell you how just it felt wonderful just being there with you, because it's like I always try to say to myself, okay, I'm gonna be in control of me, you know, get my shit right, let's go. And then like I think the security guard said one thing like hello to me, and I'm like, fuck you, you know, like I'm
I know.
I lasted like 8 seconds before I was triggered. I'm like, fuck, man.
Yeah.
Right, and you actually did your TRs. I never did. Well, I was kind of forced to a little bit, but yeah. So no, I
But
mean,
you
as
were
soon
right
as
there with me, and it was just wonderful because then you were letting them have it, and I'm like, I just felt good, like not to be the only triggered person.
right, my wingman.
Exactly.
No, to have that energy to bounce off of, because
It's
yeah,
so
as soon
cool,
as
yeah.
something.
And then you're my age too, which is really cool. So, and we do have so much in common. It's ridiculous. You know, but that was a great day, meeting Dusty and Jerry, and meeting, and I got to see, I hadn't seen Jess or Streets, you know, for a while. I hadn't seen Leah and Danny for a while. So that was all really wonderful. I love that day.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a fun day. It really was. I mean, we pissed them off a little. And one of them even jumped out at me to scare me, was playing with me. It was kind of funny. Like, they're like, oh, this chick's kind of fun. Well, let's give her a scare. You got me. Oh, I just lost the Satan.
Yeah, it's I really wish you were here. It would be absolutely amazing.
So hopefully, eventually, well, if I get myself monetized, I might be able to come back a little more often.
Yeah,
that would be great. At least a way to start.
So how close are you? What can we do? I'm surprised.
Well, I've reached all the goals. Don't get me wrong, Sophilus. I've reached all the steps. I just don't know what else to do. YouTube actually sent me an email from a guy like, hey, do you need help? So I'm going to get back to him and see if I can call someone, get someone on the phone and speak to a human.
Walk you through it. Yeah.
Is there a button I'm missing somewhere? Because I've gone through everything. I've done the tutorials and I'm like, what?
Yeah, I was about to ask if you hadn't. Yeah, but still, it's good to have a human being there just to walk you through the steps. If that's how you.
Aaron said he'd help me, but I want to go over and bother him. He's always so freaking busy. I want to bother him stupid little crap like that. If it was bigger, yeah, like I need a lawyer. But yeah, no, I'll get some help somewhere else. So someone sent me an email. They're like, bitch, move it. You should be monetized. Well, yeah, help me.
Well, I mean, if I could be of any help, I went through the process. I'd help in lieu of anything else.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll give you a call later if they don't answer. Because I think it's just a couple of steps, 1 or 2 things I need to do. And then if I start getting some money, I'll be able to do more. Now that I'm better too. And I've dealt with a lot of grown-up stuff since my dad passed, a lot of the legalities and things. Now we're just waiting on things to happen. Now I have time, so I'll be able to just sit down every day and say stupid stuff to the cameras, and hopefully people will like it.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm certainly, I was an immediate fan, and my experience with you protesting on the street was very similar. The Austin org can be weird and hard in different ways. There's a lot of police interactions.
Yes.
And
it was different.
It was light. It was fun. It was, reminiscent of what I remember the beginnings of it being. The whole crew that came in for Pearl Fest brought in a whole lot of light. It was wonderful.
Yeah, no, we couldn't wait to get there to help Pearl out. And just, basically meet everyone, Miss Kim and you, and just the beautiful chalktology artwork you guys do every day. And me so jealous because my back won't allow me to be down there on the floor for so long. And Hitzel and just everyone, meeting everyone. Right. It was, and you're right, it's a different vibe there.
Yes.
Totally different vibe in Austin. And the cops, they were a little more
right.
Yeah.
Well, they started with armed security. My first day was, a security guard with a 9 on his hip, saying that he has police powers. So that's a little different.
Yeah, I guess that's a Texas thing.
Yeah, well, that's what Scientology had hired. So it was the footing that they were putting themselves on with the community.
Right.
perhaps
Right.
It's indicative of exactly how effective Pearl Snappy's protest is.
Well, that's what I think it is. That woman just brought it all to like, oh, we got to do something here. Yeah.
You bet. You bet.
You know, another thing you do, Cheryl, that really stuck with me for days. You're like you show an ability to be extraordinarily extroverted and friendly for someone who got run over by this truck, you know, that called Scientology, and because I think I'm able to do that quite often, but I know it's also pretty rare because a lot of times, like, I have friends in similar scenarios as myself, but that they have to be like sort of coddled and warmed up, and then they'll get to a place where you can see who they are, you know. But a lot of people really stay introverted and solo and shut down because, you know, they don't want anyone to get close, you know. But you have like the exact, it would be so easy for me to stay in a wonderful mood if you live next door, you know what I'm saying? So you need to hurry up with all that stuff. So
I know, I need to move back so bad. I keep looking at land. Oh, there's an acre and a half. There's a little house. Yeah, so I keep looking. No, there's a dichotomy to me that I'm like the chameleon, where when I'm home I can be completely insane and drawn in and holding my knees and shaking, and you know, because I have trauma. I have a lot of trauma, but I've done the work. I've done a lot of work. I've spent a lot of money on therapy, explaining to therapists about my childhood. Like, why am I explaining to you what you should be helped anyway? Yeah, it was sometimes a bit of a waste of money, but I've done all kinds of seminars. I did the Landmark Forum. I mean, you know, daughter of a Scientologist. Of course, I'm going to be in one cult or another eventually. I've done a lot of work where I've removed that victim feeling off of myself. And I stopped pointing at other people to make my life better. I really love my inner child, and that's what I'm going with right now. I'm just whatever she wants, whatever my inner child wants. So you guys wait till you see what I've got prepared for tomorrow. Tomorrow's my birthday, and I've got a special thing I've prepared for Flag.
Right.
And this is partly a huge thing for my inner child. Going to be running around Flag, and they might call the cops this time.
Right.
Let's get some hearts in the chat for Cheryl's birthday. We need hearts in the chat.
We just all need to give each other a little more grace than we do, because I've had a lot of people, I've been let down by people that told me they love me. And I've been treated so well by people I've just met. So I realize it's the energy you put out to the people. It's the energy you put out that you get back from each person. And, you know, if you got toxic people around, and get rid of them. But we kind of, like, I've cut people off in my life so easily too. Just, oh, they're toxic, boom. And really, it's things that I was avoiding because of my own traumas. I didn't want to deal with it because of my shit, not theirs. So I've lost friendships because of my own crap. And I try and give a lot of people grace, because we're all human and we all fuck up. It's so hard.
Yeah.
Just, you know, how bad is the fuck up? Is it, oh, I trod on your little toe, or did I set your granny's hair on fire? You know, you got to kind of weigh out the pros and cons of that. But I try to be kind. And I know I've always covered up trauma with giggles. That was how I grew up. I realized it was much easier to make my mom laugh because she cried so easily. So I always did things to make her laugh. So that's basically how I get through life, is just being trying to make humor. You know, I turn trauma into humor. It's so obvious, but that's if you know it, you see it. But thank you, Eric. I do try and be nice as possible. I think we need more nice humans, because we've got plenty of people that know the right way.
Yeah, I feel like we have a this protesting has actually made me not feel like a victim, you know, because I'm actually working every day to do something that OSA would rather me not do, you know, whether it's just building unity and putting shine on people that have none, or if it's me out there busting my ass, whatever the case is, it allows me to feel like I'm in control, and it's a really nice place, you know, versus what we were accustomed to.
Tried to make sure that you could not possibly raise this kind of a defense against them. They tried to, and cults try to break nearly everyone around so that they're that dependent upon this system, and they can never leave. And once they do, they're not going to be able to attack back. And so you've done what they tried so hard to not be a possibility. You're both an inspiration so much for that. You're so strong for that.
The one thing I do enjoy, though, is the angry part of me gets to scream out. That my inner child that's angry gets to scream out at people, at Scientologists, because I don't scream at people like that on the street normally.
No.
But a Scientologist, a Sea Org member, a whale, John Travolta, you're going to get yelled at. You're going to get yelled at if my gimbal's in my hand.
That's what a demonstration is. You're demonstrating your displeasure at this, and like for the public, and as widely and as loudly perhaps as possible for effect.
I'm loud.
It's so trippy when I've been able to see like Nora, Liz, you know, both Liz's, you know, Laura to you, to Serge, to like Aaron. So I've been able to see a few people now, right, and their reactions around Blue. And it's so trippy to me that, like, even though we all went through a bunch of nonsense, like we there's total different triggers for us.
Yeah.
And like some people are friendly with the security, like, hey, how you doing, brother? You know, and I'm like, I look and they trigger me worse than anything there, because to me, they're there to keep people in, not to keep people out. They know where the IDs and the passports are. They're the ones who go make sure when you finally had enough and you start banging on the walls that they put you in another room where no one can hear you or see you. Okay, until you decide not to be that way any longer. So I have zero love for them.
Yep.
None. I would leave that place, and I would leave OSA and the security guards and take everyone else with me. But that's my personal triggers. Okay. But then, like I said, I'll see someone else who's like totally fine with them, but they get over to the back of Ash show and they can't stop screaming. It's just there's different things that totally activate me all over that place.
Right.
But the security is like just one of my buttons, my personal buttons that, you know, like I say, it does take some evil. There's a lot of great people there. Do not get me wrong.
Yes.
But it does take some bad people to make bad plans work.
Right.
You can't do that with just Cheryl and Selfless and me, because we're not pushing the lady down the stairs. Now what? Right? You need someone who's willing to do that. So there are bad people there. And it triggers the hell out of me. You know,
those security guards, because I know they're OSA. I know they have the lists. I know they have the names. I know they know things, and I know that in their minds they've told them things about us that are. So I know, So them, the only security guard for me, I'm so easy to get in their face because I know what they know. Well, I don't know what they know, but everyone's going to think I'm OSA. But I know how it works, and I know they're the bad ones. They are not the public walking in. They've just been bamboozled like my family was. They just got them. But the security guards, they're a whole different crew.
A number of vocal and direct acts towards things to destroy people.
Yes, to destroy, to hurt, to literally hurt humans. And I'm against that. Yes,
devastate. Things that you brought up, Eric, in our conversations was, you know, there's so many people in Scientology, most, don't know everything that OSA's doing and would never in a million years sign up to do anything that they do.
Right.
Exactly.
Because when they do find out, they leave. Like Natalie, she hears things, and other people, you know, Reese, like you hear things, you're like, oh, this is not what they're saying it is anymore. It doesn't, and they're out.
And
So
my own mother at any cost would have brought us all out of there, even if she had to divorce my dad, if she would have known like what happened to Serge, for instance. You know what I mean?
Exactly,
it would have been over.
Yep.
Over.
But OSA do, and those security guards sure do. They're looking for certain people. They already, they have a whole program log into their mind about what they shouldn't be doing. As soon as I drive around the Hacienda Gardens, that little bastard comes out on his bike.
Yeah.
What are you going to do with your bike? What? You're going to run me over with your bike? Come at me. I used to do ninjutsu. I can get you down. Like you and your little bike, boy, what are you going to do? And they wear helmets. In Florida, no one wears helmets.
On a public street.
Right.
Over again.
Bring it. My camera's on. Bring it.
Yeah. No, it's hilarious what they try to do. Their intimidation tactics they're juvenile.
Juvenile at best, right?
And using mind control techniques that do not work. And especially if you know about anything about hypnotism, you can give it right back to them.
So I start yawning, and they're like, "Oh, wait!
Oh no, that's a don't have it. Oh no! What do I do?"
And to them, there's so much power in that because they are observing every move my face is making. If I'm coughing, sneezing, tripping, if I'm missing a word. They're watching everything about me, so knowing that, I know how to get them back, and that's the whole game. That's when it does become a game that's fun, because everything is a game in Scientology.
Yes,
but it's a fun game. It's fucking with them. Like,
I mean, they're working with set rules and probably aren't going to derivate from certain strategies, and so it's basically it is a closed-in system of tactics, like a game. And they will go off. You can go off of the board and stand over there and be like, and I don't play your game, and I can beat you at your game.
And I'm going to collect 200 ass hats.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you definitely make protest fun. That's how you do.
It has to be, because everything else in life is so hard. And this is a way, because they already think we're idiots, okay? They already think we're evil, we're degraded, we're awful squirrel people.
Yes.
So, if I can make them laugh, like, hey, gotcha. So I like making them have a giggle, because why not?
And you get all of us, like, lighthearted. To try to humanize yourself after facing this unreality and a bunch of human degradation is absolutely necessary. And thank you for reminding me of like where to find this more readily for myself. I've been having trouble with that.
Just go down a little bit to the left and you'll find your inner child. They usually sit next to the heart there, and just go, okay, let's go fuck with them, and just wait and see what your head starts saying.
Fantastic. Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, I can't wait to see you again. That was so much fun for me. And, it was just really healthy for me to have, another person, like I say, that I know I can, I could call and you would understand exactly what was in my head.
Right.
And that is just, and I welcome you to do that with me. It is priceless.
I was sitting just in the bathroom the other day, just started crying. Oh my God, I'm so glad I met Eric. He's just so nice. He knows, and it was just that whole, he gets me. Like, you walk around life feeling so misunderstood with trauma. And when you find people or a community and particular people that understand you, it really is very healing. It's very, very healing. Very.
Like, I feel, even if I didn't use even if someone said I couldn't use your number, but one time, so I better make sure it's the best one. Like, just I would just hold on to it for 5 years, knowing that I had it. Like it would make me feel good knowing I have it. You know what I mean? Like an ace card, you know, in your pocket. You know.
Likewise.
But big hug to you.
It's been great coming into this community and meeting everyone. I met so many wonderful people, and I've been able to travel, which I love. I love Minnesota now. I love cheese curds. Freaking Austin that was my second time there, but this time was better than the time before. Austin has good. I got to go back just to eat. Yeah, there's so much more food.
Exactly. A lot of restaurateurs. Yes. And yeah, next time we'll make it even more fun.
Yes, awesome. And then I need to go back to California just because I missed the Orange County Fair. Damn it. Okay, next year.
I can say for certain, because I've been everywhere 12 times in this country, and places I've had incredible fun that no one would ever want to go to. Like I could show you, you know, a good time in West Des Moines or Council Bluffs or some place that you would be like, what the fuck? And show you things that you would not believe, people you could not believe how amazing that these people have the most fun you've ever heard. Like everyone in Council Bluffs in their backyard, they have one of those, like you ever been to an AM PM and they have that like 5 foot tall thing full of ice and all the Cokes in it and stuff, right? And you could, they have those full of beer, right? Everyone's got one of those. I mean, these people are not, they don't mess around. They have the trucks come and bring pallets of beer. They're not bullshitting. And then they put them in their garage, and you're like, that's fantastic. And they get a better deal than they would at Costco because the truck goes to all the homes and delivers 2 pallets apiece. Right. These people have, and then everyone knows everybody. Like your neighbor's the president of the bank. He lets you park there because you want to go here. And then if you want to, you know what I mean? And then he knows the guy who runs the restaurant. I've had more fun at places people would not even stop in than I have at all, but you know, LA and Manhattan probably, you know?
Right.
So,
and cheaper too. Cheaper, and you find somewhere to park and somewhere to go to the bathroom because in LA there isn't any of that.
And they're not trying to like tell you about their spec script for like whatever TV show or something, you know.
Yeah, exactly. No one in Omaha will tell you that they're an actor. They'll tell you they work at Arby's, you know. Yeah. And it's great, and you couldn't care less, and they're wonderful people. It doesn't make any difference, and you know, And then they have this innocence.
There's good times everywhere. You forget it.
And there's an innocence over there where like they think, you know, Hollywood. So many of these kids would my friends' kids would be like, "You live in Hollywood? Wow, that must be crazy." And I'm like, you know, it smells like urine. It's dirty. It's, you know, there's no place to park. It pretty much sucks. You know, but I get it through their eyes.
Like talking to themselves, right?
You know, like,
yeah, a lot of dual diagnosis folk on the street for sure. Yeah.
But I think what happens too is those people become so amazing because it's their personalities. It almost every day feels like Thanksgiving to me with my friends and that I've met all over the country because you're there strictly to enjoy company and have some good eats, you know, and some cold ones. And it just doesn't get better than that. And you figure that out in life at some point, whether you're 25 or 55, you go, wait a second, this is as good as it gets.
That's right. Yeah.
People.
It's like expensive add-ons and window dressing. Like this is this good.
This is it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there's something to be said. But yeah, I just I can't wait until I get to see you again. And this time I'm gonna the next time I see you, I wanna just bogart like an enormous amount of your time, you know. So
absolutely, and I'm ready. I'm already looking at the tickets. No, that'll be great because I really do want to come back anyway and do some other stuff there. I miss it and see more people, but that would be great, Eric. I know. I can't wait to come back and give you another hug. That was wonderful.
Oh, thank you so much.
Not LA. Eric called dibs.
I want to get up to Portland too, up there with a. That's I'd like to get up there too. And
it's a fun town, and they're
great crew up there,
doing great work in Portland. Absolutely,
I'd love to get up there. So I might do a boop 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 trip.
a feral tour. Yeah,
the feral tour. As long as I don't catch COVID again, that really sucked. I just spent the first 3 weeks on the couch.
Yeah.
That was horrible.
Not fun.
So hopefully, now that I've had it, I'll be able to come back out. Yeah, I'm good now. I'm good to go.
Well, thank you for being here. It means the world to me, and I know to Selfless. And it's I was really, really excited for that A-list booking. We're killing it, and really happy to be here.
Thank you, Eric. I'm glad to see you, and thank you, Selfless. Lovely to see you in Pearl too. Hi, Face. Where's that lovely face?
He's around here somewhere. Until next time, be good. Later on.
See ya.
Bye.
Take care.
That was amazing. All right.
That was amazing. That was so cool.
Seeing Feral.
We're at over an hour and we don't even have our second guest in. We're doing worse than ever, bro.
I guess we're having a good time.
I love it.
A lot of steam to let off, and you know, I imagine this is going to continue in the manner in which it started. And so,
I love it.
Ladies and gentlemen, the disembodied head of Pearl Snappy. That was pretty great. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to bring to the stage a fantastic contributor presence all over the place in this community. You've seen them all over chats, hither and yon, so active, so funny, and a genuine freaking human being. Haggus Basher, bring into the stage. How's it going? Welcome in.
Look, I even done my nails for Laura.
Oh, in the same function as well. All right.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Beautiful.
So,
very good recreation.
Thank you.
She also did some amazing work this last Sunday on my beach ride. We had I don't know what happened, but I got like 12,980 something views, right? For my beach
Blasted
cruise.
by trolls, man. Blasted by trolls. It was
just Haggus, me, and it was so much fun. and A-Girl.
And A-Girl as well, yeah. She was like bum 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 bum.
And like people I would try to read it. It says like you dick or whatever, but it's instantly gone. I can't read it. Haggus and A-Girl is so fast, man, that these people write paragraphs of horse shit. I can't read the first 3 letters. It's out.
Yeah, thanks for the engagement and buying me a sandwich, trolls. Like real good work there, buddy.
It was fun. I started getting in on it.
I've even got my F sign toe on too.
That's such a great shirt. I finally got mine from Massachusetts. I had ordered mine before I left to protest, and it was there the whole time I was here in Austin. I finally got it back here. I love that shirt.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
it's well worn, I tell you. I got another one as well, and if I go to the market, I throw it on. Just curious, and like I hope somebody asks me what it says and what it's about, other than my neighbors. So I can actually tell them.
Yeah. Well, so have you had some interactions based on the shirt?
No, not really. I had a couple of people did ask.
Yes.
And I said I protest Scientology and all the crimes and stuff that they do. And the couple of times that we've been out, they have a dead org about a 20-minute walk from me. Oh. And we've gone over there. Yeah, it's been derelict for about 12 years. Yeah. Me and the gang, our gang, up here in Toronto, we've gone and just protested at the empty building.
Right.
But Leanne, like Ellie in Toronto, you're familiar with her, Eric. Phenomenal human being.
Yeah.
She has done up a whole bunch of signs and stuff like that. Rumble Rambles as well. And Dollarama is the best shop in the world because, you know, and we just put stuff up. Ellie in Toronto did a list of the victims and held that up. And people go by and they ask, you know, and we chopped up the sidewalk and people stop and they read it and they turn and look at us and go, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
Right. And they're like, and they assume because they're not in that building anymore that they're not here anymore. So we're like, oh no, they moved. They can't afford the rent, like the mortgage for this place. They were behind about $90,000 in property taxes because up here in Canada, they're not recognized as a church. They have no tax exempt status.
Right.
Ooh. So oh yeah. Do you remember, Eric, you were on
them a bit more.
I think it was Scooter Mom was running live and you were on her chat telling me what to say. Like that is way it takes me an hour and a half on transit to get there. But they were having a big event when we were out there that day. PTS for Life let us know about it. He's like, inside scoop, peeps. So there was about 5 of us out there. Michelle from Rumble Rambles, she had recommended, we wanted to do a big banner, like, don't waste money going to some print shop, do it yourself. She suggested a shower curtain. So I went to Dollarama, paid $3 for a shower curtain, folded it in half, stuck a couple of holes in it, and wrote a big giant sign with paint sticks. They retreated when we pulled that out because they were watching us from the very front of the org. There was 2 guys. We found out their names were Bob and Doug. If you know anything about Canadian humor or comedy, we used to have a Canadian Bob and Doug McKenzie. Right? So we found out through somebody in the live stream telling Matt that their names were Bob something and Doug something. So we started singing that. Right? And they were just looking at us. They were taking photographs. They were making phone calls. The cops went by about 4 or 5 times.
Well,
and just waved at us.
You had a heavy police presence for that event. I remember Jeff really getting into it with the cops that day.
Yeah, that was the first weekend I went and I met Jeff and Gabe were in the
right.
And then the next day we were supposed to be on a Friday, so I again an hour and a half commute all the way out there, and it turns out they changed it. So it was the next day and I couldn't get back. But that's when Phil and Willie came to their protest, and the cops sat there, and it was like, why? You've got a couple of grown adults with some posters and some chalk. Like, what are you going to do? You know, and Jeff was right. Like, I agree. Like, there should be no need for it. Like, as I said, we went to their...
I think that was his main gripe. Look at this awful waste and protecting what? There's no call here, so move it along, please.
Well, I guess their headquarters, like I forget what the name for their big headquarters is, but that is in Hamilton, Ontario, which is a steel town near Niagara. I think I've passed it once or twice, and that was my first time there. And they were supposed to show up at the opening day ceremonies, giving out information for one of their front groups. So we went to the Ticats game and we sat there for a few hours and they did not show. We did laps. I think I did 28,000 steps that day. And then we decided to go up the mountain and we went to their headquarters and we chalked and we shouted, and Phil and Willie were with us. We got out the car, we had our phones ready to go, and we start walking towards them. And then Phil's in front of me, and I caught him, and he turned around and he said something to him, and they just belted, like back inside the building, because he said something completely Scientology-esque.
Yes.
Fucked in the door, right?
Right.
And And with Phil, him and Willie sat, because it's got a beautiful view down the mountain of the whole city, right? And they talked to all the neighbors. They were educating people as they walked by and telling them about the stuff, because they have a little Sea Org there. Like, people live in the house connected to the offices, right? So they called the cops, and the cops came and said to them, they're not doing anything wrong. They're not committing any crimes. You can't do anything. It's their right. And the cop said, I think, who has that? I think Ellie in Toronto has the video. I think Phil does too. He just said, do what you do. And it was his first time encountering it. So I don't think, they've only been there a couple of years, I believe. And he said it's the first time that it's actually happened. Like, nobody's gone up there before. So, and the neighbors, one of them walked by and said, I walk by and try and pray them away every day.
I think I saw that lady. But is it up there? Because if they're not a church, they can't call the cops and say that you're disrupting the church service, right? Obviously, right?
Nope, they can't. And you know what else we can do? We can bullhorn them, because it's not illegal here. You can't put posters on poles, but you can take a bullhorn out and yell. Yeah, Leanne pulled her bullhorn out and passed it to me and said, Sandra. And I was like, and then within seconds we were singing on it, and you were telling me things to say, and yeah, it was great. Yeah, we can totally bullhorn them, and there's nothing they can do about it. Absolutely fuck all. Yeah. Like I said, the cops went by and just gave us a wave. The bus drivers, like, it's a really busy bus route, and every single bus driver honks. Like, usually Scooter's got a honk sign tied to her wheelchair. So while she's filming the front door, the buses are getting this, and they're honking every time they go by, and they hate it. Like, with like they were having their hot dog water party, Pearl. And in a little tent in the parking lot, and they who was it? I think Matt and Leanne saw what they were eating. They got like a quarter piece of corn and a hot dog or something like that. This big event.
Yeah. They've got a corn cob into fourths.
It was hilarious. And then we sat, after it was done and everything, we went and sat in the pub right across the street and had dinner and pints and watched them. You know, like, they waited till everybody had gone inside and whatever, you know, the money was being deposited in their bank account. And then they got the front door guy and another guy with buckets to clean the chalk away. We didn't do much chalking that day. Before, Michelle and I have gone around the entire block and circling the whole building and chopped the whole thing. And one day we went, and we just went early Saturday morning and just surprised them. Hello, we're here.
Yes.
And we chopped it all, and then we went to get something to eat. And when we came back, they had already cleaned it. Like, they'd already wiped it all away. So I'm standing at the bus waiting, and I just started doing it again at the top of the street. And then I did it on the other side of the street too. So anybody walking by would be able to read it. Didn't matter what way we were going. And they didn't even know it was there. So it probably got washed away by the rain.
Totally. I remember, Eric, when you started going further afield, one of your first kind of pivots off of being right on blue, you're going further afield, leaving these messages where either they would look absolutely ridiculous, like with a bucket out there in front of somebody's home business on the sidewalk, washing off chalk, or they'd never see it and it would just stay. Either way, double win. So I remember picking up that tactic from you and going further afield from the Austin one as well, and found that to be really effective.
I love that. I love that you and David mismanaged to do that. I think that's fantastic.
Yeah, I really enjoy it, because I'm seeing, even though I haven't gone out now in a few weeks, I still see the 6 different blocks that I went nuts on for about 3 miles, and it's just I did such a complete job. You can barely read some of them now because of the sun it just faded them so
wow.
much. But once it cools down, I'm going to go to the colleges. There's 3 of them by me, so I'm going to chalk the hell out of it, and then I'm going to do an absurd amount of flyers on these poles, leading up to where I'll be sitting with in a chair, with a sign, ask a born in cult, ex-Scientologist, whatever you want, and just let these kids just who are in that inquisitive mindset anyway and have been seeing these posters and these flyers up all over the place.
Yes.
And let them ask some questions. And I think that would drive Osa batshit. And
they couldn't do shit about it.
Yeah. So that's my next move. That's how I'm going to roll. And that should be a lot of fun.
With this next move, man. Wow. That's going to be great. Looking forward to that.
Eric Rader and Tori Magooter.
To explain to the kids, absolutely. However it is, but that would be really effective. Yeah, so
if they have a question, I'll be happy to answer it. And it's like, it's going to be really helpful. I know Miss Manage is going to come with me on a couple, but it really will help if I have somebody. Because one thing I know from working in booths at beauty shows, even if we have a 50-foot booth, you need somebody every couple shoulders away just to keep people's attention who want to ask something, but otherwise wouldn't wait till I'm done with this guy. So there's could be some flyers there they could read. We could have those brochures out, and they could take whatever they like and check it out and leave, or they could even ask that person some stuff while they're waiting to ask me some stuff. But it really, it's 1,000 times more manageable with 2 people than with 1. That's a fact. So
if you're talking to people, somebody else to line them up and run in interference and keep it running.
Yeah, just to say, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you. Yeah, and then here, check this out, check that out. And everyone I've ever protested with can probably answer 9 out of the 10 questions I'll ever be asked anyway. But it's just, I think it's gonna, I think it'll lead to some really good content. And that's what I'm hoping for. And then I'm going to spend all the rest of my time trying to rehab the survivors and just even the never ends who are protesting, who it takes so much guts to start this, just to start doing it. And all I needed was a little excuse, and I'd have been done with this shit a weekend. Okay. But because of everybody, just rallied around me, I was able to just keep that energy and keep going. But there's a lot of people on sptv.space right now that have, their last stream had, 8 views, and they got 107 subscribers. And it's just without knowing, hey, we got you. Like, we don't want to lose those guys. We need those guys to farm the empathy to keep this growing and go wider and wider and wider, where it literally will take off on its own at some point.
Yeah. Listen, Eric, I mean, I knew for decades about Scientology. And then when we immigrated to Canada, the org, like I said, that's just up the street from me, was at the time, my favorite pub was across the street. So we had to pass it all the time. And they're always like, would you like it? I'm like, you're a fucking cult. Fuck off. Right. And never thought, and then I started educating myself, finding out more about them. And then that's how I ended up finding people, because I was always on YouTube looking for documentaries, on the BBC somewhere, looking for documentaries about it. Like, I've already seen John Sweeney and I'd already seen Louis Theroux, and I was trying to find other stuff. And I found Natalie, and then through Natalie, she's talking about this chick in Austin that's screaming out her lungs. And so when I saw her out there not giving a fuck, giving them shit, then I have to admit, when I saw everybody in LA giving it to them, and there was feck all they could do about it, except send envelopes of pictures and threats of prison time. Well, you know, a bunch of
there's
assholes.
always a case
That,
every once
that
in a
got us
while.
out. Yeah, that's what got us. You know, watching, like, I think Eric, you came out at Easter, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that was
And
my first
you
day.
just approached these guys and started. I could hear your little voice in the background, and I thought, "Fuck! Look, it's doing something. It's bringing people out." And you'll hear more and more stories. And then when they were doing I think it was, it wasn't Easter. I think it was March or something like that. There was a couple came in, and they used to be in the Sea Org, and they came down and they were protesting down outside the parking garage. And I was just like, this is phenomenal. And you know what? Feral Cheryl's one of my favorites. Like it's like she says, her trauma is her humor. Like she shines. She absolutely shines. And I watched her videos when she was telling a story about her dad, and I was just like, how in the actual fuck do you walk away from an entire family? You know? And never mind that, Eric. How do your parents think that the shit that they've gone through is okay to put your kids through? You know, you think about that as well, and it breaks my heart. Like when Wendy saw that man come out with his 3 kids out the back door, and one of them was probably about 4. You know,
Yeah, you see this so much in Austin, just like bringing in carts of kids, double strollers. It's some of the hardest stuff to see. Is see people at the very beginning of going through this manipulation program and losing a fair portion of their life. It's heartbreaking.
I can't understand how people who live on the outside of it, right? What your public Scientology, right? I don't understand how the ones with jobs can't access information about Scientology at their work, because chances are they have regular jobs like everybody else. You know, they have, even if they're locked up on their internet at home through, you know.
What happens when you get caught? You know, you get sex checked within an inch of your life and perhaps declared suppressive, and then you lose everything.
Right. And don't forget, like, it's really, you ask anyone who was in, right? It's because it's so easy. We can just say the words like, you know, oh yeah. So then you go through you go to ethics, you know, go through conditions, and it's horrible doing that. Like I can't tell you. Just imagine already, right, if you will, that you're completely twisted, okay, especially as a child, but you could be an adult, and your buddy, you know, Selfless, wrote a KR on me, a knowledge report 3 months ago, but of course he didn't tell me because he knew I'm eventually going to find out anyway, but he did, and I understand afterwards, and I even understand he was trying not to hang, right? So, you know, and so he might have gave up some little whatever. And now I go to ethics later, okay, and let's say I'm in liability. I end up having to go to Selfless and have to get him to sign my sheet saying, because I need 51% of people to allow me back in this piece of crap.
Oh yeah.
I'm supposed to be hey, Selfless, thanks for ratting me out, bro. That was awesome. Thank you for doing that, because now I'm a stronger, better person. Yes. Right, and I really appreciate you stabbing me like that and leaving the knife right the fuck between my shoulder blades. That was nice of you. And can you sign this so I can be back in this piece of shit? Such the worst. And you get to pay for it. You pay money to go have a horrible time.
Totally.
Yeah. Yeah. Hundreds of thousands of dollars to have nothing at the end.
That's all money. So like like if you're sec checked, if they have to bring you in, that's money.
Yeah. Damn right.
Yeah.
So
I went grocery shopping.
You the whole way, every step.
But see, here's the genius. Like I always say, you got to give them some credit where it's due. For an evil plan, what I thought was the most genius part of their entire plan, really, if you think about it, is how they hide behind being a church, right? So like whatever Selfless says to me in session, he knows can't get out, right? because we have that privilege that the religion gives us. So he doesn't have to worry about the cops hearing about how he killed 6 Indians or whatever, right? So what happens is there'll be let's say he was they're going to ask him, it's called flying your roots, but anyway, rudiments, but I don't want to get it complicated. So long story short, they're going to find out if what he told me was the whole story, if there's anything more to tell me about that story. Did he leave anything out? Did he add anything? Is it, is this it?
Well, that's interrogation methodology.
and so now they're going to have that info, and there's going to be a knowledge report that you did this and this and this. Now that's not safe. That's not covered under anything. Okay. So that's public knowledge basically in the church. So the ethics officer is going to bring Selfless down and say, hey, this, now he can actually say to Selfless, well, it used to just be me and the case supervisor, but now the ethics officer can say, Selfless, you killed the 6 Indians. That was some fucked up things that you did there. The way to make it okay is to make an enormous donation to the International Association of Scientologists.
Oh, dirty fuckers. Oh my God.
And that's why you always will see huge donations made while people are going up the auditing side of the bridge. And I promise you, that's what the hell that was. Yeah. They didn't get some, that was the only reason they did it. Okay. And you're not protected. They could take that information to the street. Okay. So you want this to go away. The best thing to do is the greatest good for the greatest number, which is writing an enormous check to the IAS. And
they do from time to time release some of this information to, well, A, bring that individual in line, and B, to demonstrate, oh yeah, no, we do this, by the way. Yeah. There are in fact real consequences. We will watch, we just burn this person. So
yeah, and you're next. Yeah, it's awful, Eric, how they use the emotional blackmail of your family to keep you in line. If you do this, your family is gone. Especially my mom's I have no time for my mom anymore. Like, we've had her thing since my dad died. She's just, became who she always was, kind of thing. And I've written her off. Like, I have nothing to do with her for a very long time. But I understand family. My brother and my sister mean the world to me. And if somebody was to tell me, I'd probably stick the head in them and then, kick them in the nuts. But I couldn't live without them. I need to have them. So, yeah, I get it.
They know they got you. Imagine, like, in my Translating Hot Garbage series, I basically lay it out there where anywhere from a year to 2 years, you could be trapped really well. But imagine when you're in there for 8, 9, 10, 15, 20 years, right? They know, man, they got you so good. Every last person that you do business with, every last person that you trust, every last person that would be there for you is gone tomorrow.
Yep.
That is a lot heavier pill than most people can swallow. And I know for myself, I would not do, I wanted to do unspeakable things, but I ended up doing nothing because I was not going to see my sister suffer.
Right.
For my action.
Yep.
Hell no. So, they had me. They they're not. They know they got you. They're not even worried about it. They got you. They got you coming, going, sideways, upside down. It's not because anyone's a dummy or a coward. It's because they love their family.
Right.
Yeah. That's how they, like you just said. That's how they get you.
I'm just thinking those terrible things. Perhaps those are coming later on. Like not as a kid, but once you realized the trap that you were in and you were thinking about maybe things that you could do, but your sister.
But I was scared to death of losing my family at 13.
Okay. Right.
Totally. I was scared to death. I'm like, if I say one damn thing wrong, if I was ever truthful with anyone, I would have lost them in my mind for sure.
Yeah.
Because,
that's when you started to be aware that they had that leverage on you by your family at 13.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, that must have been tough.
Think about it. There's no one to go to. No. You can never speak. Like I said, my best friend in the world, who I'm still We're still best friends today. I told him everything that ever happened to me in my life, and I never told him shit about Scientology. Wow. That's how fearful I was.
Yeah. So I think about, you grew up in it, right? Yeah. You knew nothing else. That's what you thought the rest of the world was functioning like. I don't understand grown adults who are new to it. I think it's clear. You go clear first, and then you start going, right.
Well, no, there's a lot to do before you go clear, but then OT levels are above that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I try to wonder, as an adult going into it, where do you realize that you're fucked and that these people are a scam?
Too late.
And you're too deep, right?
It's you're getting, you realize too late, because all of these cults, the first layers are like self-help, kind of just like getting your house in order, stuff that like maybe you were avoiding, but it's all stuff that you can get in the self-help aisle. And that's this one, that's Nexium, that's Est, that's Landmark, that's like Transcendental Meditation. It's all of them do the same thing. And then what a psychological mechanism known as the sunk cost fallacy, which is also what keeps you pulling the handle on a slot machine, where you're chasing, throwing good money after bad, or the other way around. Where they have you, where you're thinking, I've already done, say, like you've been in 8 years, like you were saying before, Eric, I've already done this 8 years. I've lived all of my life through this. All of my reputation is connected to this. This can't be wrong. It can't possibly be wrong. And you'll do everything to defend that position, because you've spent so much. And like the loss of all of what you've just spent, the sunk cost, will keep you from even questioning it.
Yeah. And as you're an adult, Haggus, what the Selfless just said is absolutely perfect. What was so brutal about being a child in there also saved me. The other side of that coin was, I saw things so black and white that they weren't able to snow me, and I was able to sniff out bullshit and be like, why is this guy, why is he this way, and why is this guy that way, and what is he, and it was easy for me, because I didn't, a lot of people, most people, when I was in, you either, you have money or you're not part of Scientology. There's no poor Scientologists, okay?
Yeah.
Like my family made decent money. That's why we could do it, right? So, but most people would take the easy route, because training is such a mind F. They do a couple of courses and they're like, yeah, F that. So they would just pay for training. They would just buy a couple $100,000 worth of intensives, and instead of $12,000, instead of $1,000 an hour, you knock it down to $600 an hour or something, right? And they would just sit there and hold the cans and go up the bridge, right? The thing is, then you really are going to get snowed. But since I was co-auditing everything, okay, I knew all the end phenomenons that we're supposed to be reached and how we're supposed to get there and what needs to occur for us to get there. So I was able to bullshit my way through this.
Yeah.
I would not have been able to navigate that had I just been holding cans and didn't ever train. I wouldn't have had any idea.
Yeah, you knew the back of it, the desire
you're
to...
the worst kind. Yeah, you're the worst kind of Scientologist, because you are curious about the other bullshit. You're not just curious about Scientology. You're curious about, why the hell are you doing this? Like you ask questions. Oh my God, did you ask questions? Did you ask questions in Scientology?
You get slapped down so fast that you wouldn't learn. You learn just the same speed as if you were in the mafia. You just keep your mouth shut and keep going straight. And that's the way to rock it. And, especially and think about this, if you're really scared, right, and fearful and anxious, and there's nowhere to go, it starts becoming a really sensible thing to, like, you just realize for self-preservation that this is not a fight you can win.
Right.
So it no longer, you don't even let it mess with you anymore. But again, like someone like my mom, so invested, that mentally and financially and everything else, that it took her really. I mean, you know, I don't care who you are, you're going to have to call some bullshit on clear because they oversold it, right? Yep. So everyone who went clear knows they don't have perfect memory. They still get sick, all kinds of shit. So, but they would always say it's an ethics issue and the tech won't go in if the ethics are out, blah, 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 blah. So they always got the scam working. But when my mom went through, it was just like Leah. Like when I saw Leah and her mom, I was like, holy shit, I bet that's everybody, because that was my mom and my sister. Exactly the same as Leah and her mom. Exactly. My sister was OT7, but you can't, if you're OT, you can't talk to another OT about OT shit. How I can't believe that ever was.
How'd your husbands and wife have a conversation?
But like, I understand.
Scientology.
Wives who are on different OT levels can't speak to each other about OT levels. Is that the question?
Exactly. Well, here's what's so trippy. Okay, they always had me and everyone else scared shit. Like if I would have seen a briefcase and it said Wall of Fire or whatever OT3, and like I would never have looked at it, never, because I thought for sure I was gonna die if I saw it.
Right.
So I was like, oh, no way. But like my sister already knew this was not going right. And then when my mom got through OT3, then of course anyone who gets through OT3, now you have to be 100% certain this is some bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. Just like Begay said it best. Jason Begay, my hero, he said,
"Oh my God, he's so cool.
I love that man." And he goes, I thought it was some kind of test. Like if I believe this, then I can't possibly be OT3.
That interview that Mark Bunker did with him, that was amazing. I think I've watched that so many times just to try and pick up on information that I might have skipped over. But he was just like, fucking give me it all. I'll do it all this weekend. Just give it now. You know, and I was just like, and then he's like, this is a bunch of bullshit. I'm out of here. I had no idea. I'd been watching him as an actor on lots of stuff, and Chicago PD was one of my faves, and I hadn't a clue. And Chips, the movie Chips, I love that movie, and I've watched it a million times because it's so fucking funny. And yet that guy, you know, the bum checking, wanking guy in the toilet every 10 minutes, is a Scientologist. How can you have a role in a movie about being a wanky, you know, horny cop when you're not allowed to be a wanker in real life?
Well, I could tell you from being on Lions at Celebrity Center for so long.
Oh wow, yeah.
It is a 100% different world. There wouldn't be one celebrity in Scientology if they had to take their classes at the American Saint Hill organization. It would not happen.
Yeah.
But in CC, you know, it's almost like the rules don't really apply if you have a lot of money.
No, generally they don't in the United States.
Yeah.
Peanut bar and jelly for you, Eric.
Oh, you know what? On a whole nother level, because I don't know if everyone knows this, but Haggus is one of the greatest cooks ever, and she eats the best food on the planet every day. It's insane. I just want to show up at her door in a basket with butter and move in. And but just as just a little quick funny story, because I'm a good grill man, but in the kitchen I don't really like messing around. But so this was like when I'm about I think 25, and my girlfriend came over, and I had never cooked anything for her, and I wanted to make this awesome breakfast because she loved breakfast. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna make this awesome breakfast. So I got these ham steaks, right? I never bought a ham steak, and I'm like, this is great with the bone in it, you know, and I just knew from all the cooking shows I'd seen that you have to add salt and pepper to everything, right? So I got this ham in there, and I'm putting salt and pepper on it. Okay, yeah, I had no idea. I nailed the omelet right. I got the toast. Everything's doing good. And I gave it to her, and I was so proud to look boss as hell, right? I'm like, man, I just stormed this thing. And she goes, whoo, right? And that fucking ham flew out, and it would have hit me, but it missed. And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what the fuck? I got like to leave a knife in there. Like, what? And she's like, oh, did you add salt to that? And I'm like, just like, I think I had like a little salt, maybe a little garlic salt, some pepper. She was just like, oh. She drank like a gallon of water. She was licking her arm. Like, oh my God. So anyway, anyone out there listening, don't add salt to your ham steak.
No.
The desert
of
a mouth will precede that. Yeah.
Oh, that's hilarious. Yeah, no, you had mentioned peanut butter and jam, so I went and got some.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yes. Speak
but anyway,
and it will appear.
Yeah.
Little pointer for you, but yeah. Anyway.
In my life, Eric, I don't think I had ever encountered a Scientologist. I'd met a Jehovah's Witness. I've met a Seventh-day Adventist. I went to school with some Mormon kids. But the first time I actually got to sit and ask questions of somebody was Jeff from PTS for Life and Gabe from Escaping the Cultiverse.
Yeah,
because they came down to Toronto and we got to hang out and have a great time. And Ramble Rumbles did an impression of Streets because there was a food delivery robot going around the restaurant, and she stopped it and she started doing a Streets thing, and the staff were like looking at her at first going, and we were all killing ourselves laughing because we know she's imitating Streets, yelling at this robot, telling it what to do. And then the staff she was just so funny that the staff ended up laughing, not a clue why she was doing it, but it was perfection. But it was really nice to have a conversation, ask questions, and say, simple things like, what's the first thing you did when you realized you no longer were tied to this? Like, did you run around naked in your house? Did you go and grab a pint at the pub and talk to somebody? Did you read a book that was something that you weren't allowed to do? Did you go on the internet and Google Scientology? What was your first thing, Eric?
Yeah, actually, I did Google, and but not when I first got out. There wasn't any internet, but like I already had, like I said, some really bad feelings just because of everything I did, and I already knew there was tons of BS because I was attesting to nonsense. But one of the things that really screwed me up too was that when that Time magazine article came out, and it was Scientology on the front page, being a scam.
Yeah.
And the owner of the company I worked for was a Scientologist, and he gave me a bunch of money and said, go to all the stores. And that's what everyone was telling everyone to do, like on the phone, everyone go to any store where they sell Time magazine and buy them all. Okay. And then chuck them, and I'm just like, innocent places don't have to do this shit. Yeah.
No, no, they don't. And sneaky, Phil's sister is part of the charitable side of Scientology. Him and his wife are out of it. His 2 kids are still in it, and his sister's an OT8 in Niagara Falls. So we found out that they did a post on something that they were going in, and they were going into all the major banks, doctors' offices, walk-in clinics, Staples, and just leaving a box of their the truth about drugs posters, right?
The personality test that you can mail in.
Yeah. So I wrote to Staples. I wrote to all the PR media departments of all the banks. When I found out that they were trying to, they had been accepted as consultants for the United Nations, I wrote up an email and sent it to the head of that area of United Nations. It's little things like that. Like, I have a job. I have a dog. I can't get out every week, and
Right.
it's quite a wee trek away. So in the times that I can't do that, and I can't get out and poster because we're not allowed to poster in Canada. But
this
Sandra's sending me stickers, so But so I try and do what I can, and Jeff and his wife put together a list, and they just caught me in a mood. Like I just happened to be in a mood that day, and when they talked about it on their live and said they did this list, I sent them a message, said, "Send me that list," and I contacted everybody, and then a month later, I contacted them again, and I got a bunch of replies, and they took the shit down. We called police stations because they had them as a community support network.
Right.
And I picked up the phone and I talked to the head of their media, and I said, they're in court right now for human trafficking and child abuse charges against the head of Scientology. I said, and all you have to do is click on the link you have on your page, go to the address associated with it, and you will see that it's a Scientology office. That's all you need to do. You people need to vet your sources better. You're sticking shit on your website because somebody, what do you call it, when they kiss your arse in Scientology to make you think? What do they call that?
Love bombing?
No, not love bombing. When they put the thing out to the public to make it look like they're a good resource. I forget the word.
I mean, they're safe pointing.
Safe pointing, that's it.
Yeah.
So they've gone around, safe pointed a bunch of local communities and police stations.
Their narrative out first that it's positive, and that will be the one that people will most remember if there's anything to refute it.
Yeah. And Jeff did a lot of research into them, and he discovered the science. Like their information is negating the truth. So it's not the truth about the drugs; it's the truth about the way Scientology views drugs, because everything they're saying is an absolute lie. Science can prove that. So he did a whole thing on that too, which is great. I should put that on my community page. But yeah, it's just me, and I think Scooter, and I think Jeff's wife and somebody else we all did a little thing on all these police stations, and within a couple of days they were gone off of their websites.
Nice.
Well,
they want to catch public outcry, and if you've made it uncomfortable for them, and this is exactly what Scientology tries to do, is infiltrate all of these pieces of public life with these front groups. And from business management to frickin' Narcanon, they're going to try to get in every little last aspect and filter you in somehow, and show. And it also serves to normalize Scientology as something that can be acceptable. Now, I think Narcanon specifically should be, it should be outright banned, because they're proposing to do detox with people on opioids, benzodiazepines, and alcohol, where it's been established by medical science that those are the three types of compound where you need medical intervention, because people can die, and they do regularly, coming off of those drugs. So in complete and direct contravention of all of those practices and known efforts in public health, they're risking people's lives, and we know people that they nearly killed. So
you know where the reason why they're able to get people in is because of those front groups too. Like, I think since the internet, those front groups became a lot more important as far as getting new public. And what I mean by that is, it's easy to get someone to say, what do you think about drugging children, with mind-altering drugs at 8 years old because they fidget in their chair? Most people are going to go, yeah, that sounds a little much, you know? And so you start with little tiny things like that, and that's how like CCHR would start you. They're not going to start to go psychiatry, right?
To the building on Sunset.
They build it up, and like, are you against drugs? Narcanon, and so they get you fighting with them. Like in other words, you can sort of be beside them because you don't know it's Scientology. And then like Wise does such a great job, not only finding the people with money, but then you get them to say, okay, a couple of these really simple general principles that aren't even LRHs, but he just acted like they were. They were
pure business management shit, right?
Yeah, and then it's like next thing you know, they sort of hit you with, well, yeah, it's LRH, but we're not here to push, and then you're naturally going to go, you know what, they're not that bad of a thing. I mean, they actually do want to help these kids. They want to get people off of drugs. They want to help this small business, all this kind of bullshit. But that's actually how they get the next Scientologist on lines.
Yeah,
because it's really difficult to do it the old way. That worked before the internet. But now just relying on a pinch test and that personality test, you can see if that was working, believe me, they would not close the test center.
Right.
Yes, that's true.
Reason. Absolutely. Or have the small trickle of activity that they do have there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also if they're right on your table, like if you're making money with them, I mean, I think just like the human animal is going to relate positively with anything that's helping them do that.
Yeah.
In
Did you guys see?
You could hit your kids. You could sleep with 10 hookers a night. Do nothing but blow. And if you gave enough donations to the IAS, I promise you a couple of little touch assists and you'll be right back there in the chair. Everything's going to be fine.
All right.
Yeah, no, touch assisting with your lips. Did you guys see? Did you guys see Jamie Raskin? I saw that SPTV posted it this morning. He was getting the Young Turks were interviewing him, and he brought up Scientology and how and he said, all the religions and cults are the same. And one way or another, he says, look at Scientology. All those people get sent to Tom Cruise's house to clean the toilet with toothbrushes. He said that. He said that. Jamie Raskin, favorite member of your Congress.
It's Representative Jamie Raskin.
Congress, Jamie Raskin. Yes.
Led the second impeachment, Jamie Raskin. Fucking head of all of those committees, whereas since the Republicans are in power, he's there. But that is, I mean, in the top 5 of the House leadership, that's huge.
Yeah, and
huge. I need to see this.
SPTV posted it because he was at the DNC convention and they were interviewing people. And I just thought that was bloody marvelous. Because he named Tom Cruise. He said cleaning Tom Cruise's toilet with a toothbrush as punishment.
Being a lawsuit from Tom Cruise, I think maybe the House might be ready for action if they're speaking so liberally against Scientology. I love it.
It gave me great joy to see that.
Do you guys remember when Tom Cruise used to sue everybody? The second you said he was looking cockeyed, he'd hit you with a $72 million suit. He's not suing anyone now either.
No.
That's because he had David Miscavige's cock in his eye, and he didn't know that somebody saw it. Simple as that. It missed. It slipped. He was going for the mouth, and it went in his eye.
Yeah, I think it's too expensive for his intellectual property holdings, basically, to be looking like you're in court after people that might watch your movies, and it's not worth it anymore. Maybe it was worth it 20 years ago to do. That's kind of when he was doing it.
I don't know about you guys.
Before Katie, he was suing everybody.
Why it excites me a lot is because something changed. They're fearful of something, because don't forget, Scientology is attack. There is no defense. The only defense is to attack.
So they're Cobra Kai. Strike first, strike hard.
Something happened that we don't know about necessarily, where they decided it's too big of a danger to play that game any longer. And I think also it's at the same exact time, because of the internet, you have people like the mayor of Los Angeles who probably now says, okay, she got $1 million worth of bad press for taking what, 25 grand from the cult.
Yeah, and they ran.
William Good is screaming at her every time she walks out of a car. She, you know, she's like, "Can I just give that fucking money back?" Yeah, I want that fucking money.
Well, she can't because she's probably a Scientologist, right? Because she's right up their arse. But Eric, it's people like you who have left it that are coming out and going on the internet and telling your stories. Like when you walk down the street and you're just sticking posters up, and you've got your little microphone connected and you're doing your thing, and we can't even see your face because you're staple happy. But the story you tell, that's what they're afraid of. That's why they've got somebody out ripping your posters down while you're putting them up, right? Because it's you that's doing the damage to them. It's people who have been through the worst thing they could possibly go through in their life, and you've done nothing that they can throw at you that they haven't done already, right? Your family, God bless them. I don't believe it. Yeah, I don't believe in God, but God bless your family. I'm sorry that you lost them, but they can't use that as a tool against you, right?
No.
And you're not in their face like you and Matt going out and doing his little poster thing and saying you're loved, writing a bit of chalk without any kind of aggression, anger, threats, or anything. You know, like you're their worst enemy because you're kind and you're not in their face. Whereas people like the rest of us, because we're allowed to here in Canada, we can yell in their face, and they're not a religious thing, and they can't use that to file PPAs against you and get you dragged away. You know, like we're lucky in that sense because we can still get out there and do the protesting, and like Leanne Ellie in Toronto, she's just like, I fucking hate them because she can't stand seeing and listening to. She loves Eric, like she loves Eric, and she can't stand when she hears how broken you are and the things they did to Serge, and we know that you're only two of all of the ones that aren't even out there talking about it, right? And then there's Sterling and Mike Brown when they, you know, I saw the documentary where Lara was talking to her dad on the phone, and then they showed pictures and stuff when she was in the room in her little ballet outfit, dancing and singing and all that stuff. But they were forced to do all that shit, right? It wasn't something they were doing for fun after they pulled the asbestos out of the roof, right?
Well, I was in Wilcox this week, and in the rooms where they were stuffing these kids, 9 or 12, to a room that are, you know, rented out as hotel rooms now, and it is arresting. Saw where Liz and Laura lived across the hallway from each other, where Laura was born in that freaking place, and it's creeptastic. It definitely made me well up. And yeah, the kids in those situations, and still, I mean, they've modified the appearance of it, but the kids that are still working as staff in those orgs, which I've seen them in Austin, they have no choice. They have no choice. Yeah. They're connected by their family, by their parents, their security, their sustenance, their safety, their emotional support, their everything.
And they're trained. You're trained that if someone would have came up to me and said, "Hey, you know, anything at all, like, can you tell us anything about it?" No matter how much I wanted to, and I desperately did, I would have said, "I'm super happy. This is the greatest place on earth. I'd rather be here than Disneyland." And I'd have a big smile, and you know, and that's why it's so effective, because you're never going to get anyone to, at least back then, to say anything, because you know you would lose.
Yeah.
So, and I wasn't smart enough at 13 to figure a way out. Not that there was one, but you know.
And that, I mean, and who would, like, you Yeah, I mean, I would imagine at that point you were aware that you'd get run over by their Mack truck that they run over suppressives with.
Yep.
So
I just knew I'd be in ethics for the next 3 months. I mean, what's
yeah, what's worse? Yeah.
And I hated that, and I just wanted it all to go away. So that's it. That's really all you want at that. You just want it to go away, and that's why I think I've said before. Like sometimes I would take a walk, and I would look at homes, with the lights on. It's dark out, and I'd just be taking a walk, and I'd always wonder to myself, like, I bet it's awesome in there. Like, how did they get so lucky?
Yeah.
Like, I bet they're having fun, or they're watching TV, or they're playing board games, or they're whatever. Like, yeah. And I would just be like, how can I wake up and be there?
That's not the first time I've heard that from, people that come from abusive families of all stripes, like kids of addicts, kids of like serial abusers of all stripes or whatever, with their, visiting other homes where this stuff doesn't occur, and just like, I mean, wanting to stay forever, and sometimes escaping to these homes or anything. I think that experience is fairly common with people who have completely unstable living situations.
Like a different side of normal. Like their normal is not everybody else's normal.
Yeah.
You get
and wanting to discover what that normal is, because maybe you haven't actually had it for yourself and you've seen it through a window.
Well, I think that's why I like the park even today. Like when I've done a couple sunsets, at the park, because I love hearing kids laugh and the ice cream truck. Because that was like my positive memories of childhood. And it's just fun. It would always be nice. Like even when I was in the midst of it all, I could see other kids just having fun, and they run up to their mom and they get a hug, and it just like that. I was just like, how do you get that?
Yeah. Eric, I have to say, my childhood was when I loved my dad. I was a daddy's girl, and I had a brother and sister, and I had great friends. We had a decent sized family. We had a couple of cousins who were a bit older, but the most part, all our cousins were born within like a couple of years of each other. So like, multiple cousins all born in the same year and stuff. So really super, super close. We spent many good times together, family parties. Like my cousin was a musician, and all his pals would come to the family parties, and they would sit up in the corner of the living room and play. My auntie, she played the muthi and she played the spoons. So she would, my uncle would play guitar and my auntie's on the muthi. And then they were all phenomenal singers. Everybody, there was always singing at the parties. The cousins on guitars. Like I didn't know my uncle played the accordion until one night he pulls it out and yippity doo dah, away you go. And I was just, we had a great childhood. I learned to cook from my mom. I'd say, Mom, I want to learn to cook this. Get me something and let me cook it, kind of thing, right? And started making up my own wee recipes when I was a kid. And always had, like, my memories of childhood were amazing. Went to a school, loved my school uniform, my pleated skirt, my school bag. But uniform is standard there, right? Every school has uniform. I liked wearing long socks, and brogue shoes and all that stuff. I have the most incredible memories of my childhood and then my teens, so we won't discuss that. But like you're saying, like you watching all these kids, and it breaks my heart to know that some of us out here are so incredibly lucky to have such incredible memories. We didn't have the abuses of families with addictions and stuff. Like, we all drink. Scottish, sorry, the whole family drinks. But it was, there was no crazy addiction and horrible drunks or anything like that. So I wasn't exposed to that. Our next door neighbors, she was English, he was South African, he was black, she was white. They had creamy colored kids.
Yes.
Perfectly normal to me, right? Grew up with it. A lot of the kids in my school were Indian and Pakistani. Grew up with it. Didn't know what racism was, right? So I was never exposed to it. My parents never taught me anything bad about that kind of thing. All fully accepting it. So I'm kind of like, I'm really friggin' lucky that I had such a great upbringing, because I think it made me who I am today, because I don't like bullies. I fucking hate religion. Sorry, anybody in the chat that's Catholic or whatever. I had the choice. Like we went to church every week. Took your change, put it in the thing, as they do. And I started taking mine and going and getting ice cream and not even bothering going to church. I was about 7, right? Because I was like, what is this shit? Don't believe this shit. This is so I think I would have been like you if I was in Scientology, questioning everything. What the hell? Because I don't believe there's a guy in the sky at the age of 8. But
it, I mean,
I don't know about the rest of you.
Privilege for some good that you can still at least, so many people would be oblivious to the pain that exists in some kind of organization like Scientology if they hadn't had that like direct experience to be able to empathize with. I know a number of people in this community, a number of Neverins have their own significant traumas that are a lot of what people are saying clued them into this, because they could see this pain in themselves and what caused it, and that the things that exist in Scientology that destroy people are kind of universal, that they exist kind of everywhere, and Scientology is a microcosm and a distillation of some of the worst bits of how you can kind of manipulate a human being into forking over.
Oh God, yeah. Do any of you watch the Behavior Panel?
What is this?
Behavior Panel is 4 guys. They are professional interrogators. They teach body language.
Okay.
Reading and stuff like that. They've all written books on it. They've worked for the CIA, FBI, and all that stuff, and they train them. So
Yikes.
they have a channel, and they take things, and say Tom Cruise was like, they should probably do, maybe they have, I haven't even looked, like his interview with Oprah or something like that, or his interview with that guy in Australia where he's like, you're being rude. Shut up. They take that and they dissect it based on how that eyebrow goes, how that cheek goes down, look at the finger kind of thing. Very, very interesting to watch.
Postures like crossing your arms, leaning back in the chair, folding your legs.
Looking up.
Looking up in different directions.
Yeah, that's a lie. That's the truth.
You're making up a story and you're accessing information. Is generally what it is. I mean, you can get it wrong, but those are interesting concepts.
Yeah, I would love to see them. Even is it Ted Koppel, where he interviewed Wee Davy.
Savage was seen on television.
Yeah. That one, the only time that he's ever done an interview, and they probably took him home, slapped him about the chops, and said, "Don't you ever fucking go on telly again."
I don't think
somebody should
slapped around. He probably everybody that prepared him for that blamed everybody else. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, you know what? You're probably right. Yeah, because that was horrendous, and somebody should body language read him during that. Yeah, I'd love to see them do that. Take a complete corrupt narcissistic liar.
Because the rage in his eyes over and over again towards Ted Koppel is unlike any other interviewee that I've seen, on a network news broadcast.
They're going like this. Yeah, he wanted to punch him in the face, and he knew he couldn't because it would just make him look like a bigger arse than he actually is. That's what that was. But yeah, it was.
That was the most
It was
uncomfortable
really, really insane.
I've ever seen Miscavige by leaps and bounds. But where he was the most uncomfortable to me was when Ted said, Ted goes, "I'll take me for instance. You know,
Yes.
I've done okay in my career. You know, I got a good wife. You know, I got a good family. You know, I'm feeling pretty good about stuff. Like, how would you help me?"
Yes.
And he, if he wanted to hit him over the head with an iron pan, because that's how he would.
Perfect one.
That's how he would normally answer.
But it's exactly what the old pitch was. That's what LRH was saying in the 50s and 60s. We're going to take that successful man and we're going to make him better. You know, we're not going to take a broken person, or you're going to take the invalid, or he'd use a bunch of outmoded terms for people with disabilities. But we're going to take the active, that person that's successful, and we're going to make it. Doesn't that man, doesn't he deserve a little relief? Doesn't he deserve to be, you know, moved up? So
yeah, don't ever use. Yeah,
it's like Ted.
Don't ever use that
old pitch. Like, hey, I'm this guy that's successful. He should be able to win right there. That, like, he served him up a softball that he was unwilling to hit. To me, and
I'm going to tell you something selfless. Don't ever use that voice in bed.
Gross. No thanks.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I'll put on some amber teeth and wear a big collared shirt, you know.
Yeah. Stick a bit of bologna on the front of your skull.
Did you guys see that where you throw it's going around YouTube that if a kid is crying, you chuck a piece of American cheese on his head and he stops crying? I thought that was just some BS, and then I actually saw it, and it was working.
No.
I'm like, what the?
Oh, the kid just stops and then eats the cheese.
TR cheese. Yeah.
Yeah, there was one little kid that was in a high chair, and I guess the way the parent thing, and it kind of caught him right there, and the kid was just like, okay.
Wow.
Because what do? You know, it's like my nephew, when he was about 2.5, was sitting on my brother's lap, and he wanted, you know, the horsey thing where you sit on their foot and make them bounce you.
Yep.
So he was doing that, and my brother's like, I just finished work, buddy. I'm really tired. Can you get off my foot? And he's like, no, I want to. And he said, I'm really sorry. Like, later, you know, I just want to relax. And he got up and he goes, wah! And then as he's walking away, he looks over at me and goes,
yep.
Yeah, we shit. Kids.
I mean, I won't. You know, nieces and nephews, I've seen exactly the same thing run on their parents, where they're giving them the highest holy hell, and as soon as they're like,
stop.
Yes, I've done it now. Yeah.
Yeah, no,
well,
I'm sorry, Eric.
We're running 2 hours 15. Just so you know, we've done our best ever.
Shit.
It's funny as hell because we made every time Selfless and I talk about you know, getting it back, it goes longer, which is really funny. So this might just be a 3-hour show for all we know, but I was trying to make it an hour only because I think we asked so much of our audience already, and I don't want to ask more than I am already. So that was the point, but what can you do? We're newbies at this stuff, so you know we don't have any producer.
Well, people can use it as they will, I guess. And this show just ended up being this entertaining. I've had a wonderful.
I loved it. I loved every minute of it.
I was shaking myself.
15.
Honestly, I when because Eric had asked me to come on this before. And I couldn't because I had a client that day and I couldn't go and do this. And then when I got the message the other day and I was like, oh, I don't have an excuse because I'm the type of person who I could write a perfectly good project or something in school. Always did well in essays and things like that. Good at art, good at music, all that shit. Put me in front of people and make me talk. Like, I remember in grade 13 chemistry, I had to do a presentation about the ribosome.
Yeah.
And I think you're supposed to make it last like 3 minutes or something. Yeah. I was done in about a minute and a half because I just went because I hate talking. But I guess because there's nobody actually in front of me. Yeah, and having a wee chat with Selfless and Pearl beforehand just went.
Right. Well, public speaking's a top 5 fear. You're not alone. A lot of people absolutely hate it. They'd rather one of the other ones, and that's like moving, like loss of a loved one, your own death.
I like food too much to want that. No, somebody else can die. Yeah, no.
Right.
There's a lamb chop in the kitchen waiting for me. Yeah. No.
Me too.
Well, I appreciate you being on here. Is there anything else you want to say to everybody?
Me, I'm going to say this. Pearl Snappy, Streets, DOA, Rika, Jeff, PTS for life. They got me out.
Yeah.
They got me out. And because I started like on Pearl's chat, found Eric started doing his thing, and it was Natalie. I kept seeing Ellie in Toronto, Rumble Rambles Toronto, and it was Toronto, and then we started chatting in the chat, connected with them, and then we started hanging out. And I have to say, I've met people who hope are going to be in my life a very long time, because outside of the protesting situation, they're fucking amazing. Absolutely fucking amazing. I love them to bits. And I hope people in the chats who do the same thing. Go find people in your area, try and connect with them in the chat.
Yes.
And go out. Look at Rika and Oregon Valley Girl. I went grocery shopping on Saturday morning, and I put Rika in my ear while I was walking to the market and back, stopped in the park for a little while, watched them. They were killing it. Absolutely killing it. And
they're so great. A lot of joy in that protest.
To God. Yeah, like, bitch, please. Like, I love Rika. I think she's amazing. And
awesome.
There's somebody else. There's somebody else, because you guys haven't been out. Actually, Miss Kim impressed me, because she's kind of been taking over Friday nights for you guys. Because I'm sorry, I'm going to
the best of them. Yeah. She shuts them down.
Yeah, fuck you, Scientology, because you took away my Friday fun. Because I used to get the wine and everything ready and sit back and watch Selfless and Pearl. That was my Friday. Right? I had everything lined up, and then it stopped because they're assholes.
Yeah.
Right? So Miss Kim came along, and she has found her voice. She's like, fuck, I like this shit. I'm gonna try this. I'm gonna do this. And she's found something in herself.
Way before me, she was out here on the streets in Austin, but she's been doing more regular stuff, and it's bigger and better.
Yeah.
Well, she came out with that list the other night that showed that Farrell is OSA.
That's right.
I heard about this. I've been seeing something about OSA in the chat. Yeah, Cheryl is OSA. You know what? She's the funniest, loveliest, brightest OSA I've ever seen.
I'll start a conversation with Eric. Heard any good rumors lately? And that would be the answer, I think, this week. This ridiculous POS screed that's going around. That's
Have you seen how people have been giggling like school kids, like Kathy? I love Kathy. I think her last name's Scogans or something. Shogans or something.
Yeah, Kathy Scoggins. Yeah.
Huggins.
Yeah, and she's all proud. She's like, I'm Osa, because she was on the list. She's all
No,
proud.
we went to the 50th anniversary Dianetics. We went to their big head Ideal Org in Cambridge, Ontario,
Yeah.
and there was more of us than there was of them. Okay, and then Yvette, I call her Yvette Skank, but it's Yvette Shank, I believe. She's the head of OSA in Canada, and we're all standing there. She goes by in her little red Hyundai. Hi, Yvette. How you doing? Scientology sucks, right?
Wow.
And she's like, you know, they were calling her the day we were at their hot dog water drinking barbecue. And Ellie in Toronto and Matt were round the back end with, I think it's Tanya from Toronto.
So they have one too.
And yeah, she was it Tanya? Michelle, I wonder if Michelle's, I can't remember, but she does, I haven't seen her very often. But she's been to Clearwater and she has her little thetans. But we had them flanked on either side. So they couldn't come out this way and they couldn't go out that way. But when I went back and watched a replay of Matt and Ellie's feeds, they were killing it. They were absolutely killing it. And one of the neighbors said they could go on their property to get a better angle if they wanted to.
There you go.
That's the neighbors go by and they're like, hate them. Yeah, Tanya from Barrie. Okay, yeah, so it's Tanya. She came with her little body thetans that she got from Cheryl. So it felt a little Cheryl there. That was great. There was a little feral Cheryl with us. But yeah, Eric, go back to your question. I haven't forgotten. I just think if you can connect with people and you might not feel that you can do anything, get out there and just chalk. Just chalk. Like Kansas. In Kansas, they get out, they do some chalking, they have a little conversation at the door. That chalking pisses them off. And it's perfectly legal. You can't do anything. I've had many a compliment on my handwriting. The police were like, who wrote that? Was she a school teacher? Like, okay, no, whatever. But they hate it because I write so big and so clearly.
Yes.
And I do it so that if they're looking out the window from the org, they can read it all on the street.
Right.
You can't miss it. And like I said, Michelle and I, we wrapped around the entire building and said all kinds of lovely things like, Scientology destroys family, abuses kids. My banner said on one side, Scientology abuses children. And the other side said that they believe that they're adults in small bodies, right? You do not want the public seeing that.
No, they don't.
Right? Especially in a residential community. That is something they don't want. So go get yourself some dollar shop paint sticks, a couple of poles, and a white shower curtain, and make yourself a banner and silently stand outside where they can't do a fucking thing about you.
Yep.
I like it.
Absolutely.
Not everybody has the powerful voice of a Danny or a Peril or a DOA. Not everybody has that. I have to tell you, there's DOA is extra level. I don't know how he does it because I think I would break at a certain point. There's so much intensity when he gets going. I'm just like, I couldn't. Like, I know I couldn't. I can do a Pearl Snappy though. I can do that. Everybody has their own mode. maybe not as good as she is. Maybe not as quick-witted, but my God, I try. And so does Michelle. Michelle Rumble Rambles. She is killer. You would love her because she's a musician, and a damn good one. But yeah, they get out there, they do it. Leanne does it with all her heart, all her soul. That woman is so friggin' caring and so friggin' loving. Like, she just makes you want to be there and help, you know. And she's determined. She wants to get somebody out. You know, she really. I think that would just make her life if she could get somebody out of there. And all it takes is, you know, just get there. How much is chalk? $3? A shower curtain at a dollar store? You know,
it's just that
works.
That's the hard part, getting out of the house and taking that first step, whatever it is.
And I know a lot of people are afraid, but if there's less people afraid of them, they have no power. You don't show fear, they have no power.
Pretty much. That's the main thing they use against people inside and out. So yeah.
And if you get the word out, like the simple things, as I said, all I did was my letters that I sent out to people. It's a copy of, you know, the website from the French government saying they're not a good organization, right? Excellent. And we don't want them near the Olympics. The lawsuit in LA about all the human trafficking and child abuse, right? Excellent. There's actually a link on the lawyer's website that explains what the lawsuit's about. And just simple things like the autopsy. Do you know the autopsy for what's it?
McPherson?
Oh gosh, Lisa McPherson. Her autopsy is on the internet. Yeah. You can find it.
Sure.
Like, you see the actual pictures and the results, right?
Oh yeah.
So, you know, just mentioned about that. Got a couple of articles on her and the other poor woman that died at their hand, and then the other kid who's murdered his mother because he had a mental collapse.
Yes.
And he ended up going home and killing his mom. Just show that kind of information, and they don't want, like, they lose their shit, you know?
Well, that's exactly what it's the light that is the best sanitizer for any of these cults where there is darkness. And I think you're absolutely right. And I very much appreciate your efforts, and especially how you're tying it together with kind of, I don't know, all sorts of different styles of protest as well. Which I think we get too distracted over, you know, style and tone. As long as people are doing the work and they're confronting Scientology, I'm happy. So
well, as I said, that's why I love Matt and Eric doing the thing that they do. David Mismanaged. I remember he had been at Blue and he had been hanging out with Chi, and they'd been chit-chatting and stuff like that. And then he said, "Oh, I'm gonna head." And then he walked by that bridge where everybody's got their banners, and he goes, "This is where they should be protesting, and they should have a banner." And somebody paid attention to what he said, and they went and got a banner. And
is that right?
And
were you there?
Yeah, it was David. It was David Mismanaged actually said it in his chat. He said this would be an excellent place for a banner. Just hold it over the highway.
Weren't wrong.
And somebody must have watched that stream, and you guys all got out there, and we already looked into it. We're not allowed to do that. But we can hold one on the street. Nobody says we can't do that, right? And it was as big as the one you had, and it was made of a fucking shower curtain.
Nice. Well, I hope everyone, when the weather cools down, I hope that gets everyone going again, because it's the only reason. Like I said, I can't handle this 95, 100 BS. I can't do it. So I gotta wait till it's in the 80s.
You need that Pearl Snappy hydration pack. You know how Pearl's got the hydration pack? Probably has wine in it.
It is water. It's ice water.
It's too much for me.
I think it has this in it personally.
It doesn't. Never. We wouldn't survive. It's 106 here today. So
is it really?
Yeah.
Oh Jesus.
Yeah.
I don't think my air conditioner would work in that kind of heat. I live in an old building.
It's trying very hard.
It's brutal. Well, we got to wrap it up, or
Yeah.
this will be another 4 hours. So we're at 2.5 hours. Let's call it good. I gotta go.
My big fat arms.
And
It was a joy. It was a pleasure. Thank you very much for inviting me along.
Oh, of course.
I hope I didn't talk shite too much that the chat went fuck off. I'm leaving. No.
And your final words really poignant. Really, seriously wrapping it up and indicating so many individuals who are so different in style. I just I hope that this whole thing falls together again very soon. It looks like they're all the beginning signs of it happening.
Listen.
So I very much hope that this list of OSA was just like this last desperate attempt to keep us divided.
Yeah. So everybody needs to leave their wooden spoons at home. And if you can't go into a chat like Eric's chat, that's a great place to go and stuff like that. Then you go into DOA chat, completely different element, right? Something else. Then you go over to who else has a really good chat? Natalie's chat, right? Natalie's chat is a great chat. A whole different thing going on there. But everybody can grab a bit of whatever suits you. Whatever suits you, go find it, go follow it.
As long as this country
great in Boston, right?
You're right. Yeah. Do it that way.
And if you don't like somebody's chat, don't fucking go in their chat. Okay? Stay out of it. Don't take your wooden spoon and go in and start stirring shit. Because then you got somebody running from that chat who's in the background going, he did this, run over there, go, ha ha ha, this guy over here is talking about, you know, well, because you just start the pot, you know?
You're never
leave them alone.
Everybody from doing things like that. It is the internet, you know, so.
Yeah, and it's horrible people that do that. Ignore their shit. Do your own shit. Go where you're happy. That's it. Keep it about you and what interests you, and don't get sucked into the rubbish. Up here, we're just like, we're doing us, and we all know that we all like different people, right? We all like different people. We all listen to different viewpoints, but we respect the people that we're there for a reason. Like, I respect the shit out of Eric for doing what he's doing, and I love listening to his chats, and I love doing that. You and Peril, you're a whole different entity altogether. You have a different style of what you do, and you're as effective. You're both getting the message out. Not everybody's gonna like everybody.
Yeah.
Too bad. Too fucking bad.
So I very much hope that this season brings us all together, and that's basically that's what I've been praying for since June, and it looks like it's happening. And so, and I would say, Eric, you know, thank you again for, you know, holding the line on a bunch of things and making it easier for this to be a possibility now.
I think you know, we're all really, really good people, but we also are very unique in that we're willing to, you know, tackle a $15 billion beast. And that already puts us in a really amazing category. And the fact that, you know, we're not intimidated, you know, we're just motivated, and we all have good hearts and want to do good things for people.
Yep.
And
100.
You know, it's just, you got to be an adult about this. We're here for a purpose. It's not, well, are we going to get along with everything else? It's just this. It's just, you know, if you're unwilling to hurt a victim, survivor, if you truly understand Scientology is a piece of crap, I can work with you almost irregardless of anything else that wasn't, you know, criminal or horrifically immoral or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care if you did not share another view of mine.
Yep.
I'm actually okay with being with you because I need you here for this, and you can help me with this. We don't have to go to dinner later, nothing. It just so happens to be that there's a lot of people in this that I do want to go to dinner with later, or that I do want to have a beer with or smoke a joint with. That's just because there's so many cool freaking people.
Yeah.
But
that's a bonus. But
I also, like I've said this a million times, Haggus knows this in my room. it's totally okay that you like me now, and then 6 months from now you're like, oh, that Eric, he used to be cool, he's sort of a douche, and then you know what, and then 6 months after that, you know what, he's an okay guy, he came around, that's what's going to happen. Yep. Right? I mean, it happens with your best friends, for Christ's sake. They disagree with you. Your best friends in the world disagree with you. So how the hell are everyone else not going to at times? Yeah. So you just go with it, and whoever likes me today, God bless you, give me a hug, and let's go do some good work. And if you don't like me, like I wrote my favorite comment I've ever written in this 4 months now the other day, when someone was trying to point a finger at me about something, and I said, and you're not, blah, 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 blah. And I go, totally cool. I get it. Your opinion's completely valid to you and anyone who shares it. And I'll be here if you ever feel differently, and you're welcome back, then, and with open arms, and I hope to see you again. But if not, I get it. And it's all good. In other words, everyone can't like you all the time. It's okay.
No.
Yes.
Do you think anybody would get on in life if you absorbed everything that everybody ever said about you? You'd never get anywhere, right? You'd be staying at home, sitting on the couch, never leaving the house, right?
Yeah.
So just like war off a friggin' duck's back. I think that's one of the things growing up in an open family where you could talk, right? You could talk about anything except make fun of my dad about being gay. Didn't like that. Oh, Dad, vocal. But we're fortunate that we can actually not listen and just turn it off at the end of the day. But before we go, I have to say one thing. Fat Grammy and Audit LA. Queens.
Oh, man.
I can't come on a live chat that I've never been on this kind of thing before in my life and not mention Fat Grammy and Audit LA.
They're taking
absolute queens.
Sure.
Absolutely.
All of the legwork, all of the bravery.
Absolutely killing it. And for all you people who think that you can't get out and do something about it, these two women are doing something about it, and they're in wheelchairs. Their mobility is restricted, and they're out there doing more than most of us.
That's right.
So there you go.
Thank you for that.
That's a great shout out. All right. Well, listen, I really appreciate it. I appreciate you being here. A lot of fun. And I still want you to send me some bread, some sourdough, some Japanese milk bread, and whatever you ate the other day, the lobster, the scallops, and the whatever. I want 2 plates of that.
Wow.
The best steaks I could get. Those steaks taste like foie gras. Oh, the fat is so good and melty. I can't afford them very often, but when I get one, it's like, even my dog even gets some raw. I give him some. But yeah, expensive but delicious. Yeah.
Yes.
But it's been an absolute friggin' joy. I'm so glad I actually finally got to meet you face to face, sort of.
Yes.
Kind of.
Yeah, it's a healthy thing. I love that.
Yeah. I'm glad I wasn't nervous at all.
you did fantastic.
I did prepare my background. Yeah, I did prepare my background. Just so if anybody had any kind of weird impression of me, they don't have to worry.
That was just hello. That's the background. Okay. Well, thank you so much, and we'll see you out there. Looking forward to more and whatever you got planned.
Cheers. It's been a joy. Love to you both.
See you later, Haggus.
That was an amazing show. Wow.
I told you I'd make sure it was a short one.
Yeah, you stage managed the heck out of that. We were going. It was all around very many subjects, like, we were jawing about whatever, but it did land very neatly on a bunch of psychological topics there to still make it, this kind of a show. Really interesting guests. This is one of my favorite shows for sure.
Yeah, for sure. But But we will attempt to reel it in next time, but that means it'll probably be 3 hours. So just act accordingly.
Yeah, exactly. If we don't try so much, perhaps it's gonna get back to its form. Yeah, if we just freeze it, but if we're paying attention, maybe that's making us nervous and having us talk more. Or,
You know, it's just too funny. We can't help it that our guests are so awesome that it's just there's nothing you can do. I mean, that went by like super quick, but I get, you know, I guess like I say, I appreciate so much everyone giving us the time they do. So I'm not trying to take up your whole afternoon. That wasn't the intention, but it happened, and I'm still happy it went the way it did. But we will figure out a way to get it a little bit better, so we don't take up all day. But that's the plan anyway.
Indeed, keep it to like an MTV Productions movie, you know, 90 minutes,
right?
Or like,
you know, exactly. Yeah. But and you know what's funny? I really need another hour just with you, because we didn't get anywhere, and I had a whole bunch of more stuff I wanted to ask you. So just to show just to show chat what I mean, like this could have easily been a 4-hour show.
I think so. Because we can just go. We're really trying to, I think, catch ourselves mid like ramping up to like our 3-hour stride. Within 20 or 30 minutes, and then having a conversation with a couple guests. So, which, I mean, maybe we're better. We figured out how to maybe do that in 20 or 30 minutes, but like, our guests were just so interesting and entertaining. We rolled this deep. It was wonderful.
And it's all overdue anyway, because like Haggus said, I mean, it is an amazing thing to be able to speak at length with people that you fight alongside, who you feel like you truly know, but in reality, you only get a 7-word sentence and you hope they see it. You know?
You bet.
You know? So it's like, this is a whole different thing.
It's another layer. And then perhaps in person, you know, I was always dreaming when I first joined this movement that there'd be like an annual conference where we could all get together and kind of an inexpensive, centrally located in the continental United States hub, where it could be like, you know, hotel attached to convention center with speakers and artists and the whole thing. And everybody would get the opportunity to see each other in person. And that might be a unifying event. I think, you know, I was wishing into the air that somebody else should do it. It sounds like maybe I should I should do it, but or somebody should. So it would exactly like Denver. Denver is not a bad place to do this, or you know, in the middle of the corn in Des Moines, and you know, some inexpensive hub, but Denver isn't bad.
Yeah. I mean, it's also nice to speak like. I had Marilyn on with me yesterday, and it was we just had fun just talking about everything but Scientology, and I just interviewed her asking a bunch of crazy questions, and we just had a laugh riot for 45 minutes. That was incredibly fulfilling and fun, because you don't get a chance to do that. You don't get a chance to see, a lot of people don't get a chance to see us in that kind of environment either. You know, because we're different people than what people see.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We're not always protesting. We're not always heat stroked. We're not always triggered. You know what I mean? There's other sides to us that are pleasant and that people don't always get to see. Well, so it's really fun, you know.
For that, yeah, indeed. Like humanizes both of you rather than this. I don't know. You have to kind of strike a bit of a pose. You know, I don't think all of our natural personalities, as you're saying, is protest oriented, and we've had to kind of put something on to do that. So I think that's valuable. It's good that you're doing this kind of more person to person outside of the context of protest talk, especially like Maryland.
Yeah, that was just really cool, and I think it just shows, you know, that we are the same as the people watching us. You know, it's just that we seem like we're a little bit extra manic or motivated or out of our minds because of what it is we're doing and who we're doing it against and what it takes out of you. I think no one realizes just what a toll it is. And my appreciation for every second I see Rika busting her ass, or you or anyone else, I know exactly where you're coming from after, using 25,000 staples in 3 weeks, so, I get it. And 3 boxes of chalk and all that shit. So I have a lot of appreciation, and I understand why we get the way we do. And it's just to make it sort of fair. It's nice to see, or allow people to see all of us in a way where we're more like you would see us if we were your buddy and we weren't protesting at that moment. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
There's other sides to us that are very palatable, that no one gets to see.
Well, more universally appealing than, protest isn't for everybody. Sometimes a lot of people see a protester and they're like, what's wrong with that person? They can't ever see themselves in that place. And why would they, especially if they're afraid of public speaking, why would anybody go so far as to expose themselves this much
totally
resist the state or anything? Wow.
Yeah.
What an amazing one. I look very much forward to our show next week. We should have another couple amazing guests. We'll try to get up notice of that sooner. I think we're getting a little bit better at the booking.
We're lining them up like the Tonight Show now, man.
Yeah, it's looking good now. So, yeah. Engine seems to be churning out some good stuff. I look very much forward to this time. So,
yeah, for sure. Well, you have a good week, and
together. Yes.
Do you have any gigs this week you need to promote?
I have been sidelined pending this legal matter that I need to be here in Texas to appear and to prepare for what is happening with this legal matter.
Oh,
so
shit.
If it was perfectly timed to really disrupt this work, right? So, yeah, as if allegedly for entertainment purposes only. I have no idea, but yeah, I'm
so
trying.
No gig this week. Okay.
Not for this person.
Okay. Shit.
So I'm looking to get back on that bus as soon as I've got any of this cleared up as far as the schedule. So
yeah, first things first, man. You got to take care of you, man.
Yeah, unfortunately, and so whatever it is hindering my progress. But I'm taking steps right now to alleviate myself from this.
Well, good.
Yeah,
I hope it's a lot easier than you expect.
Me too. Thank you. I'll take that, and I'll probably need it. So,
all right.
Report next week. Whatever turns out, I'll have some more information. So, looking forward to that.
Too bad Dodge can't fly over there and then keep us informed.
Well, once kind of the preliminaries are out of the way, there's going to be more information forthcoming that's going to be in the public record, and so somebody like he will be able to start reporting on it. So that reminds me, I'll tap Dodge on the shoulder and see what's going on.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, all right, dude. That was a fantastic show. I literally could do this for 6 hours, but then I think we'd be down to like 0 viewers.
Yeah. So, this almost approached like Dr. Zhivago. It's almost 3 hours. But until next time, man, just have a wonderful time. Freaking looking forward to whatever you have cooked up next for all of us. It sounds like you have some wonderful plans. That booth sounds amazing, man.
I think it's going to be neat. I think it's going to be fun.
All right.
All right, my brother. I will talk to you soon. Thursday at 2. Thank you so much for being here, everybody. We appreciate you. And we will see you next week.
Later on, everybody. Bye-bye.
Later.
All right. See if I can do it. Aya!